Chapter 2443. At this time, the mountain in front of Zhongzhen Mountain had already become a violent icy blue storm area. Even Duanmu Qingtian, who was a half-step Yuan Tian stage cultivator, was directly blown to the mountain behind Guyu. Bang! The mountain peak was directly sliced off. Amidst the loud explosion, Duanmu Qingtian's body was covered in blood. He could only watch as the central peak was covered in ice and snow. This was a snowstorm that no one had ever seen in their entire lives. Among the countless ancient remnant souls, there were martial venerables from before, demon sovereigns from the ancient era, and even more powerful forces that no one had ever seen before. At this time, under the guidance of the Ice Luan's essence blood, the remnant souls all rushed out of the heaven-controlling divine cauldron and blasted towards the black energy ball. At this moment, an earth-shattering explosion resounded throughout the world. Wild Owl was instantly submerged in the snowstorm. Within the boundless energy ball, Wild Owl's cries for help were like mosquitoes and flies, almost inaudible. "Quick, save my sister! Save my sister!" Duanmu Qingtian's body was like a peeling tile. His veins had started to shrink due to the extreme low temperature just now. However, Duanmu Qingtian did not care at all. He wanted to save his sister, no matter what method he had to use, even if it meant losing his life. "Didn't you hear what your sister said just now? She's already prepared to die." Duanmu Xiong too immediately rushed to Duanmu Qingtian's side and grabbed Duanmu Qingtian's arm. His eyes were completely red. Ah! Wild Owl's mournful cries resounded throughout the world. In the hearts of countless people from the heaven-controlling palace, this was definitely a heart-wrenching pain. "That's my sister. The sister that waited for me for dozens of years," Duanmu Qingtian roared. He owed her too much. How could he let Duanmu Xiaoman sacrifice everything for the heaven-controlling palace? "Palace Lord! Palace Lord! Use this old man's life to exchange for yours." "Palace Lord Duanmu, no. Please come out. Even if Heavenly Command Palace is gone, it can be rebuilt. Palace Lord, please come out." The experts of the Command Heavenly Palace, demon-subduing sect, and Chaos Region were all weeping. They knew that Duanmu Xiaoman was overdrawing her life to exchange for everything. Immediately, everyone knelt on the hillside, wailing, howling, and weeping bitterly. No one was willing to exchange the goddess's life for the peace of the imperial heavenly palace. At this moment, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were trembling. He grabbed the struggling Duanmu Qingtian and said, "Qingtian, you and your sister are good. Handing you all over to Shihui was the best decision I've ever made in my life." Upon hearing his master Shihui's name, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes, which were swollen from crying, rippled. His stiff hands hung in the air, unable to put them down. At this moment, the millions of Long Ben army that had received the telepathy of the Wild Owl rushed into the Frostblood storm like moths to a flame. Bang, bang, bang! In an instant, corpses were strewn everywhere. The endless golden light was annihilated by the destructive ice and snow. There was no sign of struggle. The absolute power extinguished the Long Ben army like a candle flame. Seeing this scene, the boiling blood of all the people of Command Heavenly Palace froze. Their souls trembled and they couldn't move at all. In front of the epicenter, the might of the heavens floated. The incomparably powerful water attribute energy destroyed the heaven and earth. The wind and clouds surged in the sky, shocking everyone's soul. This was a massacre. A massacre that Duanmu Xiaoman exchanged her life for. Cries for help, cries and roars filled the heaven and earth. All the Long Ben army knew that they were walking on a path to death, but they had no choice but to walk on it. Because of the guidance of the Wild Owl's telepathy, they could only rush in one after another to save the Wild Owl. The golden light that was like an angry dragon continuously poured on the azure storm. Soon, it turned into specks of light and scattered. The invincible Long Ben army of a generation lost their lives just like that. More than half of the Long Ben army disappeared in the blink of an eye under the monstrous power of the ancient remnant souls. The people of Command Heavenly Palace who recognized the reality had ashen faces. They looked at Command Heavenly Palace in despair. But this was not the result they wanted. Sister, why are you so foolish? You still have Sui. Duanmu Qingtian knelt heavily on the mountain peak. In the storm, Duanmu Xiaoman's figure stood proudly in the void. Her delicate body turned into a huge force that carried Command Heavenly Palace towards the light. Looking at that godlike figure, domineering and disdainful, merciless West and Qi Feihong began to cry secretly. Han Wulong, Han Yuro, and the others were also crying. The boundless sect will remember the grace of the goddess for 10,000 years. The Chaos region will forever remember the grace of the goddess. The demon-subduing sect thanks the Heavenly Palace goddess on behalf of the people of Yuzhou. All around, on the vast mountain peaks, the demonic beasts roared together. Their roars were filled with solemnity and endless sadness. A huge demonic wind swept across the world. This was a ceremony that only happened when the sovereign of the demonic beasts perished. Even the demonic beasts knew that the Heavenly Palace goddess was saving the world. Because of the goddess' actions, the heavenly barbarians would last for 10,000 years. Awo! The roars of the demonic beasts shook the sky and the forest shook. Everyone's eyes were filled with emotions. Tens of thousands of figures bowed towards the mountain peak. The disciples of Command Heavenly Palace knelt on the ground, their souls shaking and tears streaming down their faces. No one had the ability to change this situation. The only thing they could do was to send the Heavenly Palace goddess off. Let me go, I want to save my sister. In Duanmu Qingtian's dazed eyes, his tears had long dried up. Watching Duanmu Xiaoman, whose blood was thicker than water, releasing a terrifying pressure in the storm, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were already filled with the will to die. Everyone present could lose hope in Duanmu Xiaoman, but he couldn't. I want to save her, she's my sister. Turning his head, Duanmu Qingtian looked at Duanmu Xiongtu and roared. At this moment, the sky seemed to be unable to withstand the violent energy of the ancient remnant spirits. In an instant, a huge explosion resounded through the world. It was as if the sky had collapsed and the earth had cracked open, causing everyone's soul to tremble. Following the sound of the explosion, everyone's surprised gazes were cast towards the horizon. Within the crack, countless mysterious runes gathered in the air. Soon, they transformed into an ancient bell that shone with brilliant light. As the ancient bell descended, the space became as bright as day. The shattered space collapsed in an instant. Then, a fiery red light burst out like a sun. Instantly, everyone's faces changed. They put away their hopeless expressions and opened their mouths wide. Because the person in the fire was none other than Sui, whom they hadn't seen for a long time. Sui! It's the king of sky prides. It's the king of sky prides. Sui! Oh my God! Isn't he suppressed deep in the earth's core? In the next moment, Sui brandished the blood demon-killing god's sword in front of him, and an extremely cold and terrifying light shot out. With a light step, he rushed out of the ancient bell's encirclement. Sui stepped on the ground and looked up. His gaze fell on Duanmu Xiaoman, who had turned blue in the ice storm. His eyes rippled. Immediately after, without any delay, Suyi's eyes shot out murderous intent. Blood-red sword runes shot to the heavens and earth as a loud shout rang out. Chapter 2444. His angry roar was like rolling thunder, causing people's souls to tremble. Immediately, Suyi's figure rushed into the ice storm like a phantom. Suddenly, a vast aura spread out, and more than half of the Long Ben army that was already on the brink of destruction were sent flying. He went in. Sui went in. He's here to save Palace Master Duanmu. Heavens, Yutian Palace is saved. Palace Lord, hold on. Ancestors of Heavenly Command Palace, you must protect Palace Master Duanmu and ensure his survival. In an instant, everyone present opened their eyes wide in disbelief. After killing so many of the Long Ben army's Imperial Palace array, Su-yi actually went in so easily. Su-yi felt his cultivation soar once again. That terrifyingly sharp sword chi pierced through the sky and rushed into the wind and snow like cutting vegetables. Su-yi seeing Su-yi enter the Zhongzhen front peak, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes suddenly became clear. He breathed heavily and hot tears rolled down his cheeks. Save my sister, Su-yi, you must save my sister. Duanmu Qingtian's mouth trembled and his entire body tensed up. At this moment, the Zhongzhen front peak in the storm had already turned into a world of ice. The azure-blue Duanmu Xiaoman had already lost her heat, but her sparkling and translucent eyes were still staring at the distant senior wild owl, who was sealed in ice with only half an eye remaining. Xiaoman, you've suffered. Holding the sword in his left hand, Su-yi hugged Duanmu Xiaoman from behind and said while choking with sobs. Duanmu Xiaoman, who was covered in frost and snow, was like an ice sculpture. She did not feel anything, and her long eyelashes were suffused with ice crystals. She looked like Nan Shihui in a world of ice and snow. Hugging the Duanmu Xiaoman, Su-yi's heart instantly turned cold. The Duanmu Xiaoman in his arms had already lost her normal body temperature. Xiaoman, it's me. Wake up, I'm Su-yi. Su-yi choked. How could he care about the ancient remnant soul and wild owl? During this period of time, Su-yi seemed to have shed a lifetime's worth of tears. After coming out of the Myriad Sword Mountain, Su-yi received news of the Long family launching a large-scale attack on the Yutian Palace. Without stopping to rest, Su-yi, Lu Ruoxi, Tunten, and Shangguan Tianqian tore open a spatial rift and arrived at this place. However, they did not expect to see such a scene. What he saw was Duanmu Xiaoman sacrificing her life in exchange for the safety of the Heavenly Palace. Suddenly, Su-yi's heart returned to the time when Duguyuma passed away. His heart was incomparably desolate, and the hand holding the heavy sword could not help but tremble. Boom! With the Origin Supreme technique and the fire-suppressing heaven stone circulating rapidly, vigorous heat surged and burned. Hugging the Duanmu Xiaoman, Su-yi could still feel the bone-chilling coldness in the Duanmu Xiaoman's heart. Chi-la-la! As if he had gone crazy, a huge net of flames gathered in front of Su-yi. Profound runes lingered around it, and violent energy emitted extreme energy, quickly melting the frost on Duanmu Xiaoman's body. Chi-la-la! The ice crystals were melting at a slow speed. Su-yi looked over Duanmu Xiaoman's shoulder. At this moment, the wild owl, who was already drowned by the remnant soul, saw Su-yi using the fire-suppressing heaven stone. His fanatical eyes fiercely blinked twice, and finally countless terrifying streams of light turned into thousands of black crows and flew into the sky. In the outside world, everyone's eyes were blazing with excitement. Looking at the fire of hope in the snowstorm, countless pairs of eyes were filled with longing, praying that Su-yi could save Duanmu Xiaoman. That was the soul of the Heavenly Command Palace, the lifeline of the Heavenly Command Palace. In the distance, Shangguan Tianqian finally found his daughter. The father and daughter hugged each other and cried. The people of the Tian Yao school covered their faces and twitched. Difficult. Just like the Heavenly Command Palace, the Tian Yao school had gone through too much. In the end, suffering and suffering were exchanged for eternal peace. How did you guys get out? Lu Ruoxi frowned as she stood beside Gyue. Gyue, Long Pashan, and the others were anxiously waiting. Their flushed faces were filled with endless excitement as they whispered. Heavenly Wind's sword intent. Su-yi has comprehended the Heavenly Wind's sword intent. Right, Ruoxi? In the distance, Duanmu Xiongtu and Duanmu Qingtian quickly arrived in front of the people of the Heavenly Command Palace. Looking at the proud figure in the snowstorm, their eyes were filled with eagerness. Hearing this, Gue, Merciless West, Chi Feihong, and the others all trembled and their souls shook. Thinking back to the 2 slashes of Su Yi's sword just now, it was enough to destroy the heavens and the earth. This kind of incomparably powerful sword intent contained an extreme and terrifying pressure. In an instant, everyone present stopped talking. Bang, bang, bang. At this time, Tunton had already turned into a huge black mountain. Its huge figure traversed the heavens and the earth. It stepped on the Long Ben army one by one as if it was stepping on candy. Only half of the Long Ben army looked at the overwhelming pressure of the Demon Domain Realm Cultivator, and their momentum suddenly collapsed. Without any resistance, they turned into a bloody mist and dissipated. They never would have thought that this trip to the Heavenly Command Palace would be the road to the Long Ben army's destruction. Su Yi, you have to save my sister. With a burning gaze, Duanmu Qingtian clenched his fist. Bright beads of sweat slid down his forehead as he stared at the blazing fireball. Boom, boom. In the snowstorm, heavy snowflakes fluttered in the air. Ancient remnant souls that covered the sky were like wild horses that had broken free of their reins and were galloping recklessly in the peak before the earthquake. If not for this storm, the Heavenly Command Palace would have been in ruins. In front of him, the blazing energy gradually melted Duanmu Xiaoman. The formless space suddenly changed shape. When the last ice crystal fell, Su Yi instantly felt Duanmu Xiaoman groan in pain. Xiaoman! Letting go of his hands, Su Yi screamed. Looking at the Duanmu Xiaoman who had returned to her original state but was incomparably weak, his heart was beating wildly. The ice and snow melted, adding a bit of beauty. The weak Duanmu Xiaoman raised her hands and formed a seal with great difficulty. A kind of energy squeezed out of her mind shot to the heavens and earth. The resplendent brilliance rushed to the heavens and earth. The energy surged above the heavenly command cauldron in front of her. Suddenly, a golden sound erupted from the cauldron. Boom! Thousands of remnant souls seemed to have sensed it and madly rushed towards the cauldron. In the vast peak before the earthquake, the transparent soul body stirred up a huge wave of wind. Streaks of crystal-clear light shot out, followed by the sound of space being torn apart. Whoosh, whoosh! Countless streams of light shuttled between Su Yi and Duanmu Xiaoman. Looking back, the hurricane blew up Duanmu Xiaoman's hair. Her face was as pale as a sheet of white paper. For the first time, Su Yi felt that the omnipotent heavenly command goddess was so haggard and delicate. The galloping wind and waves obstructed their advance. Su Yi could feel that there was a huge spatial restriction between the two. No matter how much strength he exerted, he couldn't cross it. He looked on helplessly as Duanmu Xiaoman kept the heavenly command cauldron. Above the sky, a powerful ripple appeared. The heavenly command cauldron brazenly landed on the ground. Boom! As if the bell of life had rung, the storm stopped. The energy stopped flowing. The heaven and earth returned to normal. At this moment, Duanmu Xiaoman was like a willow that had lost its vitality. Her eyes were blurred and her cherry lips were moving. Xiaoman. Chapter 2445. Dong! As if the bell of life had rung, the storm stopped, the energy stopped flowing, and the heaven and earth returned to normal. At this moment, Duanmu Xiaoman was like a willow that had lost its vitality. Her eyes were blurred, and her cherry lips were moving slightly. Xiaoman! Su Yi, who could finally move, rushed to Duanmu Xiaoman's side and supported her, shouting loudly. In his arms, Duanmu Xiaoman looked at Su Yi, and a trace of comfort flashed through her weak eyes. Her white hand brushed Su Yi's cheek, and she said softly, "Su Yi, I've been waiting for you for so long." He held Duanmu Xiaoman's hand tightly, and the cold temperature was like a knife cutting through his heart. His face was gloomy, and his eyes were burning with anxiety. Boom! The wind and snow in front of the mountain dissipated, and the sky suddenly lit up. Between the shattered mountains and rivers, several figures of experts shot out like phantoms. Sui, how is my sister? Duanmu Qingtian had not yet landed, but he was immediately pulled back by Gue, Duanmu Xiongtu, and the others. At this moment, Sui had already poured the spiritual liquid into Duanmu Xiaoman's mouth, and the art of driving the heavens was poured into Duanmu Xiaoman's body at the same time. A gust of wind blew around him, and the rich energy seemed to have been poured into the shattered water ball. After the energy circulated in Duanmu Xiaoman's body, it directly shot out from the Tianguan acupuncture point. How can this be? Duanmu Qingtian panicked, and his eyes trembled, and his heart throbbed violently. Let's try it together. Gue shouted loudly, and the 10 vassals and elders shook their auras. Dozens of terrifying auras began to fluctuate around Sui and Duanmu Xiaoman. Waves of powerful auras converged into a vast momentum, and the wind and clouds surged in the air. The temperature of heaven and earth also rose abruptly, and the terrifying aura spread between heaven and earth. No, no! Sui stood up in the halo where soul energies were intertwined. His face was trembling, his eyes were serious as he shouted. Suddenly, Duanmu Qingtian withdrew his palm power. Everyone present moved closer to scrutinize Duanmu Xiaoman. At this moment, Duanmu Xiaoman's aura was fading away at a speed visible to the naked eye. If not for the support of the spirit liquid earlier, she would have already died. This is the aftereffect of overdrawing blood essence. The Ice Luan is an ancient divine beast. Once its blood essence is gone, its life will be gone as well. Then what should we do? What should we do? Su Yi's voice trembled. 2 streaks of tears hung from his flustered face as he quickly observed the audience. In a flash, Duanmu Qingtian jumped up and lifted Duanmu Xiaoman while shouting, "Let's go, the Ice Phoenix High God is still here. If you beg her, you might still have a chance." Hearing this, Su Yi's eyes lit up as if he had found a straw to clutch at. His throat moved and his eyes flickered. The 2 of them quickly moved to the other side of Duanmu Xiaoman and flew towards the heaven burial frozen ground. Boom! Everyone watched as the 2 of them disappeared into the horizon. Their eyes were filled with worry. What should we do now? Long Pasan frowned. This battle with the Long family was a huge blow to the Heavenly Command Palace. Although the Long Ben army was destroyed, the Heavenly Command Palace was still greatly weakened. The Heavenly Command Palace, the demon-subduing sect, and the realm of chaos were all heavily damaged. Let's take stock of our battle strength first. With the Long Ben army gone, we can't let Draconis successfully become a god. Gue suppressed the grief in his heart and said. The battle of the half-step Yuan Tian stage was still vivid in everyone's mind. Everyone knew that if Draconis really reached Yuan Tian stage, there would be no more peaceful days in the Tian barbarian continent. In an instant, everyone was silent as they stared in the direction of the heaven burial frozen ground in a daze. Only then did the crowd disperse. Elder Gue, where are my father and the others? Lu Ruashi's brows were filled with worry. It was obvious that she hadn't walked out of her emotions just now. I'll take you there. There are some things that I should let you know. Gue walked over. Sui had already told Gue and the others about the wild owl stealing the rainbow egg back then. Therefore, Lu Ruashi was able to receive full protection in the Heavenly Command Palace, and not just because she was Su Yi's sweetheart. In the heaven burial frozen ground, the wind and snow were still at loggerhead. Dark clouds covered the sky as 2 streaks of light streaked across the sky. Sui, I'll open the Ice Luan's secret realm. You go in quickly. Okay. Time slowly passed. Sui carried the Duanmu Xiaoman, and the energy in his body seemed to cover the sky. After the Duanmu Qingtian created an icy blue whirlpool, Sui tapped his foot and rushed into the Ice Luan's secret realm. Whoosh! The sound of ice crystals shattering resounded in his ears. Everything in front of him was a clear blue. Very quickly, Sui appeared in an icy blue world. tranquil, peaceful, and without the tyrannical aura of the outside world. In the silent world, Su Yi's voice that was mixed with vitality instantly resounded through the world. "Is there anyone? Ice Luan, true God." After roaring 3 times, he still didn't see any signs of living creatures moving. In an instant, Su Yi burst out with the primordial chaos supreme technique, bringing with it countless air currents in the surrounding space, spinning out like a small tornado, faintly twisting the space. "If you're here, hurry up and come out. Otherwise, I'll destroy your world." Perhaps due to the influence of Su Yi's origin supreme technique, the Duanmu Xiaoman weakly placed her hand on Su Yi's shoulder and lightly shook her head. "Xiaoman, you're awake." Su Yi was pleasantly surprised. He stared at the Duanmu Xiaoman and spoke softly. His heart was filled with waves. "Young man, if you use a little more strength, not only will she die faster, but I will also disappear." Hearing the voice, Su Yi immediately looked up. A pair of azure-blue divine eyes appeared in the void before him. It was exactly the same as the one he saw in the spirit sacrifice abyss. This was the other part of the Ice Luan's soul. It was also the last part of the Sky Berserker's soul. "You must be the reincarnation of the Demon King," the Ice Luan said slowly. Suddenly, the Ice Luan flapped its wings in the void. A huge snowstorm immediately enveloped the Duanmu Xiaoman. She broke free from Su Yi's embrace and lay horizontally at a low altitude. Then, the Ice Luan's divine eyes blinked and placed the Duanmu Xiaoman on the sparkling and translucent ground. At the same time, the Duanmu Xiaoman's aura didn't dissipate. "You know me." Su Yi looked up. "Our souls share the same body and memories. Otherwise, how do you think I can find the Demon King and send a message to the old guys?" Su Yi nodded and walked to the Duanmu Xiaoman's side. He said softly, "Since you know me, can you save my Xiaoman? I'm waiting for you, not her." Unexpectedly, the Ice Luan's voice became abnormally serious. Compared to the Ice Luan in the spirit sacrifice abyss, this Ice Luan didn't seem to be easy to talk to. Immediately, Su Yi's expression darkened. His eyes shone brightly and he said softly, "You don't want to save her? You don't want to save her?" the Ice Luan asked in return. "Are you kidding me?" Su Yi raised his eyebrows and a sharp roar echoed in the air. "Ah!" The enormous Ice Luan flapped its wings and a mysterious white snowstorm aura trembled. A transparent hole was torn open in the sky. The scene above caused Su Yi to fall silent. Chapter 2446. I can tell you how to save her, but please watch this video first. Frowning, Su Yi patiently watched the video in the sky. It was about how the first palace master obtained the 10,000 laws of heavenly star art. The 10,000 laws of heavenly star art came from the Heavenly Star Divine Palace in the realm of the gods. The Heavenly Star Divine Palace was responsible for controlling the fate of the stars and studying the souls of heaven and earth. It had a great reputation in the realm of the gods. After the first palace master of the Heavenly Palace, Cui Yin, obtained the 10,000 laws of heavenly star art, she gradually built the Heavenly Palace and named it after the Heavenly Soul Art. After that, Cui Yin wandered the Sky Barbarian continent and met the Ice Luan who was looking for the reincarnation of the Demon Emperor. The two made an agreement that the Heavenly Palace would help find the reincarnation of the Demon Emperor, while the Ice Luan would help the Heavenly Palace study the 10,000 laws of heavenly star art. She cooperated with the Li family to use the 10,000 laws of heavenly star art to refine the heavenly cauldron so that she could have more people to help find the Demon Emperor. However, the Li family was jealous and Cui Yin almost lost her life because the heavenly cauldron was stolen. After that, she focused on expanding the Heavenly Palace. The most important mission of the Heavenly Palace was to find the Demon Emperor. Seeing this, the ice crystals in the sky disappeared, and the figure of the Ice Luan reappeared in the sky. "So, I'm here. I'm the Demon Emperor and I order you to save my Shao Man. Su Yi's voice was unusually serious. After a while, the sound of the ice luan gently spreading her wings resounded through the sky. The entire world was silent. You're the reincarnation of the Demon Emperor, you're not the real Demon Emperor. The ice luan's unyielding attitude made Su Yi furious. He roared and took a step forward. His entire body's battle power surged between heaven and earth. What do you want? The ice luan true god chuckled. Her gentle voice was like a soft whisper as she said, "She's very important to you, but you have more important things. Do you know? The immemorial great calamity? The death of the Demon Emperor? I remember." Su Yi roared, impatient. "Are you really ready? We 12 divine beasts have waited for you for so many years. We've searched for you for so many years. You have so many things to worry about in Heaven Berserker lands. Will you really make sufficient preparations for the common people?" The ice luan's continuous questioning caused Su Yi to suddenly become serious. It turned out that the ice luan was worried that he hadn't made sufficient mental preparations for the immemorial Great Tribulation. In the eyes of the ice luan, Duanmu Xiaoman was tasked with bringing Su Yi to her side. Now that she was here, the Duanmu Xiaoman had already completed her mission. If Su Yi wasn't prepared, why would the ice luan waste its energy to help Su Yi? I've waited for too long. The other divine beasts have already left. I'm the only person in this world who's still waiting for hope. I can't gamble, even if you are the reincarnation of a demon emperor, the ice luan said faintly. I understand what you mean, but I will go to the outer realm. I will uncover my origins. My mother and my lover are still in the outer realm. I will definitely find them. No, that's your little love. There are only 2 immemorial Great Tribulation in this world. The third one is coming. If you can't stop it, I will do my best to leave Heaven Berserker lands and announce it to the entire world. My energy can't be wasted. The icy aura in the ice luan's secret realm trembled again. The terrifying temperature instantly caused Su Yi's heart to tremble. He turned his head to look at the Duanmu Xiaoman. Was he ready? Did he have the ability to stop this calamity? After pondering for a moment, Su Yi raised his eyebrows and looked at the ice luan. He said softly, "I came from another world. Here, I found my love and hope. The realm of the gods also contains my memories and secrets. I also have great love for the common people. I, Su Yi, hereby swear that I will fight for love. I will make a promise for the heavens and earth. If I go against it, I will never return to earth." Facing the ice luan, Su Yi could only reveal his biggest secret. The ice luan stared closely at Su Yi. After a long time, it took a deep breath and nodded. Its beast eyes shone brightly as it said softly, "I believe in the Phoenix's vision." Phoenix? Su Yi didn't expect this matter to involve the Phoenix. He heard the ice luan say, "You obtained the Emperor Sparrow's bloodline. Do you remember what the Phoenix said?" At that time, Su Yi obtained the Emperor Sparrow's essence blood in the Myriad Sword battlefield. It was the first time he met little handsome Su when he was still an egg. The Emperor Sparrow's essence blood belongs to the upper class of the Phoenix type. Even if she's not a Phoenix, it's enough. With the heaven-suppressing stone and my protection, she won't die. The ice luan said. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Su Yi said softly, "Then what should I do?" As he spoke, Su Yi began to activate the heaven-suppressing stone. A fierce fire energy surged up. His face immediately turned red and his eyes were bright. The temper of a young man. The ice luan laughed softly. Her blood energy is insufficient. Your Emperor Sparrow's bloodline is vigorous and vigorous. You also have the heaven-suppressing stone to provide energy, so it's just right to make up for it. At this moment, I'm building the array for you too. External force won't work. Let's use the most primitive method to merge the soul blood. In an instant, Su Yi's pores opened up. What is the ice luan talking about? What do you mean by the most primitive method? Su-yi repeated in a daze. The Ice Luan's voice instantly sank. She looked at the Duanmu Shaoman on the ground. At this moment, the Duanmu Shaoman, who was in a daze, heard the conversation. Her face turned red and she didn't dare to say anything. You only have one chance. If you succeed, it will be a great opportunity for you too. Su-yi's body trembled slightly. He looked at the Duanmu Shaoman. The Duanmu Shaoman turned her head away. Her eyes were closed and her cherry lips were red, adding to her charm. Shaoman, for revenge. Su-yi curled his lips and sighed softly. Zeng zeng. In an instant the sky brightened. The wind and snow mixed with terrifying energy enveloped the two like a curtain, gently covering the ground. 3 days passed by. Blood fell under the setting sun. Still not out yet. Still not out yet. Long Pashan anxiously walked in circles. His wide and short body was constantly circling around the peak before the earthquake. Can you stop circling? I'm also anxious. Duanmu Qingtian looked at Long Pashan with disgust. She unhappily snorted and then looked worriedly at the burial of Heaven Frost. At this time, the Command Heavenly Palace had finished its repairs. The demon-subduing sect, Chaos Realm, and Boundless sect had all settled down. The Command Heavenly Palace had once again regained its former tranquility. Gyue rushed over from the distance. He looked at the merciless west. Qi Feihong was also anxiously waiting. He immediately said softly, How is it? How is it? Still not out yet? Merciless West drank a mouthful of wine. Her drunken eyes were cold. She softly said, Has the Myriad Sword Alliance replied? That's right. The Sacred Mountain won a great victory. The Heavenly Dragon sect fled back to the Long family. The Endless Sky Sea region and the Thunder Fire Temple both suffered heavy losses. Yi and Ing Wuxiu also joined the Long family. Right now, the Long family's forces are not small. Chapter 2447. Gyue nodded. The situation was very clear now. Draconis was in seclusion. At the crucial moment of becoming a god, he would not come out of the Heaven Palace no matter what. Sky Dragon Sea Region and Sky Dragon Sect. Even if he went to the Long family, he would not be able to see Draconis for a while. There was still some time left for Su-yi and Duanmu Shaoman. Gazing at the distant burial frigid grounds with faint traces of snow, Gyue asked seriously, Palace Master and the others? Not yet. Stomping the ground, Duanmu Qingtian's handsome face showed a trace of anxiety. He said loudly, Forget it, I'll go in and take a look. Raising her eyes, Duanmu Shaoman's feet glowed with light, a powerful sword tip spread out, far above the heaven burial cold ground, a vast aura spread out, the light was resplendent, the mountains trembled. GG. Above the void, a huge emperor bird flapped its feathers and looked down at the world. The surging flames on its body were like a divine shower. In an instant, the sky above the burial frozen ground was covered in a red glow. The divine light was extinguished, and the flames were raging. The scorching heat caused the space to change shape rapidly. A large patch of red space rippled in the air. It was blazing fiercely. Oh my God, that's Su-yi's emperor bird. Have they come out? What a powerful aura. This energy is much more terrifying than when Su-yi went in. What is going on inside? The earth-shattering commotion not only shocked the powerhouses on the central peak, but also the people on the other peak. They all looked in the direction of the burial frost ground with fear in their eyes. Look, it's the emperor bird's chest. Han Wulong's eyes were the sharpest. He squinted his eyes and stared at the divine bird phantoms that blotted out the sky. His huge body was covered in flames. Chains of fire intertwined in front of his chest, and a blue light shot out from them. The emperor bird belongs to the phoenix bloodline. It is reborn from nirvana and the fusion of ice and fire. Gyue was amazed. He was not willing to close his mouth for a long time. At this moment, Duanmu Qingtian was laughing wildly. Ah! We are saved. We are saved. Sister has been reborn with the help of Su Yi's Emperor Sparrow bloodline. Duanmu Qingtian laughed wildly as a stream of hot tears rolled down his cheeks. Suddenly, the expert's eyes were shocked. They did not expect the Emperor bird bloodline to have such a miraculous use. Countless shocked and confused gazes looked towards the horizon. The red and blue light was dazzling and resplendent, and an enormous pressure pressed down on the world. Even though they were far enough away, Long Pashan and the others still felt their blood rushing. But everyone let out a sigh of relief in their hearts because Imperial Celestial Palace's foundation was stabilized. Under everyone's astonished gazes, the Emperor Sparrow's cry pierced through the clouds and cracked the stones. It pierced through the blue dome of heaven. Its crimson wings stirred up the wind and clouds. Under the illumination of the crimson flames, the mountains appeared gorgeous. At this moment, the mystical blue light on his chest became more and more resplendent. The moment the blue light broke out of his body, the boundless blue light pierced through the clouds and fought against the red light as an equal. As the light rays shot out, the sky changed color, and the rumbling sounds of beasts attracted the demonic beasts from the Chaos region to fly up into the sky. Gazing solemnly at the two divine birds in the sky, the beasts' souls trembled. The roars of the beasts could be heard everywhere in the mountains and valleys, and the trembling beast souls completely erupted at this moment. Whoosh! A sharp cry of a phoenix resounded through heaven and earth. The sparkling and translucent azure light finally broke free from the Emperor Sparrow's encirclement. It spread its storm-like wings and let out a cry. Following the undulating mountains and rivers, the blue ice luan swept through heaven and earth. Each of its wings spanned 1,000 feet and immediately turned the Imperial Heaven Palace into a world of ice and fire. Everyone looked up at the sky. Their eyes were solemn and respectful. The desolate aura made everyone's heart tremble. Just looking at the mystical scene made them very excited. After circling around, the ice luan flew back to the burial cold ground. At this moment, the red light of the Emperor bird disappeared. The huge divine beast shadow gradually materialized and turned into Su Yi's figure. The blue light descended on the burial cold ground. The shadow shrunk in the snow and finally turned into a human. Su Yi caught it with his majestic aura. Tisk la! As though gravity was gone, the snowflakes floating in the sky suddenly descended. The burial cold ground turned into a world of ice and snow again. Su Yi, who had caught Duanmu Xiaoman, moved like a phantom, rapidly rushing to the front peak of the epicenter. A fiery red arc streaked across the sky, and before anyone could notice, Su Yi had already landed gracefully on the front peak. Gue, Merciless West, Qi Feihong, Duanmu Qingtian, and the others looked at Su Yi, who was carrying Duanmu Xiaoman. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. Looking at the majestic aura of Su Yi, their hearts were already in turmoil. Apart from the incomparably sharp sword aura, just Su Yi's soaring energy aura was enough to make an Origin sovereign expert vomit blood. Everyone's attention was on Su Yi. Gue was the first to speak as they sized up Su Yi's cultivation aura. Su Yi, what's your cultivation level now? Su Yi's lips curled slightly as he looked at Duanmu Xiaoman in his arms. His starry eyes were filled with gentleness. 6th level of the Yuan domain realm. This is simply unheard of, never seen before. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes widened. After peeking at Su Yi's aura, his head shook non-stop in disbelief. 6th level of the Yuan domain realm. Everyone present swallowed a mouthful of saliva as though they were petrified. Su Yi was clearly only at the 1st level of the Yuan domain realm when he entered. Even with the sky wind sword intent protecting his body and his vigorous aura, his cultivation level couldn't lie. In just a few days' time, how did Su Yi's cultivation level soar? That was the Yuan domain realm. Merciless West and Impermanence Fairy looked at each other and smiled. Their eyes were filled with bitterness and helplessness. Could cultivation be as simple as eating candy in this kid's eyes? Let me see. Is it the 6th level of the Yuan domain realm? As though they were looking at something new, Long Pasan, Luo Wuyao, and the rest surrounded Su Yi and sized him up in astonishment. Maintaining his original posture, Su Yi nodded and finally said, "This is all thanks to Xiaoman." At this moment, because Su Yi's transformation was truly too shocking, everyone recalled that the main character was supposed to be Duanmu Xiaoman. Duanmu Xiaoman wasn't used to being looked at by so many people. She instantly recalled the incident in the Ice Phoenix secret realm, and her face was incomparably red as she reprimanded, "Su Yi, quickly put me down." Duanmu Xiaoman tightly pursed her lips after she finished speaking, and her face was as red as an apricot. It was extremely inconsistent with her usual image in front of everyone. Su Yi shrugged and put Duanmu Xiaoman down with a light smile. Duanmu Xiaoman took a deep breath and tidied up her messy hair as her jade-like throat moved lightly. "How's the Imperial Palace now?" Everyone was talking at once as they reported the situation to Duanmu Xiaoman. Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes were drifting, and even though she was listening, she didn't leave Su Yi's side. At this moment, Duanmu Qingtian pulled Su Yi to the side, and the two of them were whispering something. Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes flickered as she lightly clenched her jade-like hands hidden in her sleeves. Chapter 2448. Are you really going to call me brother-in-law this time? Duanmu Qingtian stared at Su Yi with a playful smile. Su Yi smiled innocently and told Duanmu Qingtian everything that had happened in there. Duanmu Qingtian nodded and sighed. "It's a blessing in disguise. Others can't feel it, but I know that my sister's cultivation has improved tremendously." Su Yi turned around and looked at Duanmu Xiaoman. The two looked at each other, and the latter looked away. Su Yi was delighted. "I didn't notice that, but the wild owl has been eliminated. The only one left is Draconis. If we work together and get rid of him, the world will be at peace." Su Yi's eyes lit up. "Su Yi." Hearing Duanmu Xiaoman's call, the two turned around and heard Duanmu Qingtian's voice. "I'll go and treat my injuries first. You deal with my sister. I'll continue to treat my injuries." Duanmu Qingtian turned into a sword light and flew across the sky like a ghost. Shangguan Tianqin's shout came from afar. "Qingtian Master, wait a moment. You haven't seen my daughter yet. Jingyuan, and Jingyuan too." Very quickly, everyone dispersed under Duanmu Xiaoman's orders, to prepare for tomorrow's dragon-conquering path. "What did Qingtian say to you just now?" Duanmu Xiaoman walked over gracefully. A fragrant wind wafted into his nose. It was like an icy blue, proud and pure. It made his heart light up. Su Yi's lips curled up and his eyes lit up. "You don't understand men's matters." "Say it again." "Don't think that." Duanmu Xiaoman suddenly stopped and her delicate body trembled. "What?" Su Yi smiled mischievously. He stared at this beautiful face and hugged her. "This is the front peak. You're crazy." Duanmu Qingtian frowned. Although she cursed, she allowed Su Yi to hug her without resisting. Su Yi closed his eyes and felt the warmth of life. His heart was filled with warmth and he let go of her. Without any superfluous words, the two pairs of clear and translucent eyes only had each other. Duanmu Xiaoman's pupils gradually filled with a layer of mist. "Let's attack the Long family tomorrow," Su Yi said softly. Duanmu Xiaoman nodded. The situation in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean had already been settled. The remaining rebel forces were just small fish and shrimps. As long as Draconis died, the Long family to be to the heavenly barbarian. "Let's go see grandfather and father. There's still a tough battle ahead. Don't let them worry." Su Yi laughed heartily. The heaviness between his brows was instantly melted away by Duanmu Xiaoman's gentle words. He placed his arm on his waist, forming an empty space, saying, "Let's go!" Duanmu Xiaoman immediately rolled her eyes at Su Yi and scolded, "I think you're getting more and more impudent. Do you really think the imperial palace is yours?" Su Yi said lazily as they walked, "I don't know whether the imperial palace is yours or not. Anyway, you can't run away. Shameless." Duanmu Xiaoman's voice was so soft that it was almost inaudible. After returning to the back of the mountain, Lu Ruoshi finally found out that Wild Owl was her mother's murderer. Seeing Su Yi and Duanmu Xiaoman return safely, the three of them were overjoyed. Lu Ruoshi's face finally broke into a bright smile after getting her revenge. The Su and Lu families celebrated together. Su Yi was also enjoying the joy before the big battle. Hearing that tomorrow was the day of the expedition, Su Jingyuan immediately stood up and said that he wanted to go. "Jingyuan, you." Su Yuntian sat down. His eyes were filled with seriousness as he waited for his son to return. "Father, the Long family is the main culprit who separated me from Su Yi's mother. How can I not go?" Su Jingyuan raised his brows and instantly unleashed his Yuan domain realm strength. After being stunned for a while, Su Yuntian looked at Su Yi and sighed. There was nothing he could do. Everyone understood Su Yuntian's thoughts. At that moment, Shangguan Tianchen happened to enter the door. Su Jingyuan said, "Tianchen, you came at the right time. This time, us brothers will fight again." Su Jingyuan gave Shangguan Tianchen a look. Shangguan Tianchen instantly understood and comforted Su Yuntian. Then, he said to Su Jingyuan, "I'm here to look for Su Yi. I'll go out with Su Yi for a while." "Looking for me?" Su Yi, who was dragged out, was puzzled. Why did Shangguan Tianchen come looking for him in the middle of the night instead of catching up with Tian Yao school? When he followed Shangguan Tianchen to Gongke Lake, Su Yi saw old friends he hadn't seen in a long time. Suruga, Gu Suxin, Mu Yao, and Situ Muyang, who was still seriously ill. Muyang. Looking at Situ Muyang, who was on the verge of collapsing, Su Yi immediately burst into tears and hugged him emotionally. It wasn't until he felt that Su Yi was really made of flesh and blood that Situ Muyang's lifeless eyes started to react. He instantly started to cry. Junior Marshal Uncle. Situ Muyang, who was sobbing non-stop, was extremely emotional. He clenched his trembling hands tightly, and his voice was close to a low growl. Situ Muyang had been deceived by his grandfather, and it was difficult for him to get rid of the knot in his heart. He had consumed his essence blood to save Su Yi, and his heart and soul had been hurt. When Suruga heard about the battle at Yutian Palace, he immediately brought Situ Muyang back. The two of them met and chatted for a long time. The four people at the side also secretly shed tears and sighed. It was enough to have a brother like this for a lifetime. After feeding Situ Muyang the spiritual liquid, Situ Muyang's eyes were still red, and the corner of his mouth was slightly trembling. He had an indescribable feeling in his heart. After listening to Su Yi's words, Situ Muyang finally let out a long sigh. A trace of seriousness flashed across his young face. "I don't want to talk about my grandfather anymore. I've already said that I'll never set foot in the Myriad Sword Alliance again. After my mother passed away, I have no more attachments." Looking at Situ Muyang's determined expression, Su Yi's eyes flickered. He immediately turned his head and said to his master, "Master, Mu Yao, Elder Gu, please bring Mu Yang back to rest. Tomorrow, we'll have to conserve our energy for the battle." "I'll go too." Situ Muyang instantly exploded. "Situ Muyang, rest well. We have enough people. Don't force yourself." Su Yi's face darkened. He did not want Situ Muyang to be in danger again. Suddenly, Su Yi waved at Suruga and the rest. He patted Situ Muyang's shoulder and headed to the back of the mountain. Walking on the path at the back of the mountain, Su Yi did not think of Situ Muyang. Instead, he thought of his senior sister, Duguyuma. Yuma, are you okay? Su-yi sighed softly. Su-yi, Duguyuma can still be saved. Shangguan Tianqian's voice came from the darkness. Looking back at Shangguan Tianqian, Su-yi's eyes flickered. What did you say? Su-yi thought he had misheard and asked again. Come with me to look for Master. Shangguan Tianqian wasn't too sure either. Instantly, the two of them went to look for Duanmu Qingtian. While listening to the two's narration, Su-yi also set up the primordial ancient bell. The black and white moons shone on top of the divine bell, dazzling everyone's eyes. Chapter 2449. Looking at the two moons on the god clock, they were dazzling and enshrouded in a mysterious glow. The blue crystal moon pupils are rare. The sky barbarian continent actually has them. Duanmu Qingtian lifted his head and looked at the two moons, deep in thought. Su-yi's breath became long as he asked softly, Is there a way? Duanmu Qingtian shook his head and said to Su-yi, The sky barbarian continent has no way. Su-yi frowned as the fire in his heart was extinguished. Shangguan Tianqian's face also darkened. What's wrong? Is it very important to you? Duanmu Qingtian stretched. When he heard that Duanmu Qingtian had died for Su-yi, his eyes suddenly turned cold. It's a different story if you saved my brother-in-law's life. There is still a way. Duanmu Qingtian said softly. Instantly, Su-yi's voice rose by a few decibels as he said agitatedly, Didn't you say that the sky barbarian continent has no way? The sky barbarian continent has no way. But what did you do when you disappeared for more than 10 years? Duanmu Qingtian's eyes lit up. Star domain travel. Lifting his chin slightly, Duanmu Qingtian raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, All kinds of star zones will participate in the Star Zone God investiture ceremony. Naturally, I've seen many strange people and strange things. I've also seen people with the blue crystal moon pupils. But it's really rare that the sky barbarian continent has them too. Su-yi's heart was in turmoil as he thought to himself, Isn't there a lot of strange things in the sky barbarian continent? Because of the chaos demonic emperor, the sky barbarian continent had the heaven-suppressing stone and the ancient divine beast. The blue crystal moon pupils were even more common. Do you still remember the Sword King Divine region that I told you about? Duanmu Qingtian raised his sword-like eyebrows and looked directly at Su-yi. He said softly, That middle-class star system is a place where everyone is a soul controller who cultivates sword intent. Where are the blue crystal twin moon pupils? Su-yi replied. Duanmu Qingtian nodded and told Su-yi that he had spoken to the people of the Sword King Galaxy. Among those who were going to participate in the God investiture ceremony, there were people with the blue crystal double moon eyes. Blue crystal twin moon pupils. Logically speaking, the twin moon pupils shouldn't have remained in this world after the death of a person's soul. Perhaps your primordial ancient bell is too rare and has preserved the twin moon pupils, Duanmu Qingtian said faintly. Su-yi's heart was surging with emotions. He said loudly, Master, have you heard of the primordial demonic emperor? Suddenly, Duanmu Qingtian's expression became very interesting. He took 2 steps back, startling Shangguan Tianqian. He narrowed his eyes and looked around. Finally, his gaze fell on Su-yi. Really? Duanmu Qingtian sucked in a cold breath. Su-yi nodded firmly and said softly, The Ice Luan has disappeared. She chose to believe in me. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes froze. He paused and then said softly, Then you must go to the Sword King Divine region. Go there and find someone. He will unravel all the secrets for you, including the Great Calamity. Shangguan Tianqian frowned as he listened to the two's conversation. However, he knew it must be something extremely important and didn't dare to disturb them. After listening for a long time, Shangguan Tianqian, who didn't understand, quietly left the room. In the second half of the night, Su-yi and Shangguan Tianqian chatted for most of the night. Under the candlelight, the two figures paced back and forth in the room. A serious atmosphere made Shangguan Tianchen feel uneasy. Ha ha! I didn't expect that my sister would marry such a godlike person like you. While Shangguan Tianchen was unconscious, Duanmu Qingtian's voice instantly woke him up. He stood up and the two of them walked out of the room. The corners of Su Yi's mouth curled up slightly, but his brows were already relaxed. His gaze was as firm as a sword that shot through the sky. Shangguan Tianchen followed Su Yi and left Duanmu Qingtian's place. The two quickly returned to the epicenter rear peak. Behind them, Shangguan Tianchen couldn't help but ask, "Can we be saved?" Su Yi strode forward. His aura expanded. His body was like lightning. Flames surrounded him. He was very carefree. He said softly, "Of course we can be saved. Everything can be saved." After saying that, Su Yi's body drew a red arc in the air and returned to the heavenly divine palace. Su Yi, who was lying on the bed, couldn't suppress the excitement in his eyes. The information Duanmu Qingtian told him was simply too much. He would deal with Draconis tomorrow. Su Yi couldn't wait to start the trip to the star field. Mother, Yunjing, and Duguyuma. Su Yi couldn't wait to see them. In the vast star field, what was hidden in the mysterious realm of the gods? Su Yi's eyes flickered and rippled. It was as if he had returned to his previous life. On the night of his wedding, the arrogant and unruly monarch, Hunyuan Demon Emperor, a great calamity befell him and he perished. Sleep. Beside him, Duanmu Xiaoman's cold voice sounded. Turning to look at Duanmu Xiaoman, Su Yi couldn't control himself and kissed her deeply. In the darkness, Duanmu Xiaoman only said one sentence, "Sleep. There's something important tomorrow." The golden sun shone down. The immortal qi of the heavenly divine palace was mixed with shocking killing intent and boiling battle intent. 7 to 8 million people were ready to go. They had already gathered at the heavenly divine palace. Gue and the other elders, the experts of the chaos region, and the experts of the demon-subduing sect were all waiting at the front peak. Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, and Su Yi stepped on flowing light and flew over. High in the sky, the three people's robes fluttered in the wind. A domineering aura exuded from the three of them. From afar, it was as if three murderous gods were about to start a war of divine punishment. It was frightening. Today, the dragon-conquering road will decide the life and death of the heaven barbarians. Are you ready? Su Yi asked loudly. The sound waves shook the heavens. The sound waves that covered the mountains and plains were like energy light pillars that shot into the sky, boiling the surrounding air. It was very exciting. Everyone here has a blood feud with the Long family. Kill the Long family and return peace to the heaven barbarians. Kill the Long family and return peace to the heaven barbarians. Kill the Long family and return peace to the heaven barbarians. Kill the Long family and return peace to the heaven barbarians. Under Duanmu Qingtian's encouragement, Shi Wuqing, Qi Feihong, and the others also began to roar. The demonic beasts on the hills in the sky roared towards the sky, and the surging demonic aura added a bit of solemn killing intent to the entire place. After Su Yi and Duanmu Qingtian finished speaking, they all looked at Duanmu Xiaoman. Duanmu Xiaoman stood in the center. Her eyes were cold, and it went without saying that she was as cold as a blade. In the end, ice spirits floated around Duanmu Xiaoman. A fierce aura swept through the area like a storm. A huge spatial crack that stretched from the heavenly divine palace to the arched fault lake formed in front of her. Long family, let's go. Those few words were soft, but they had the power to crush mountains and rivers. In an instant, millions of people shouted at the same time. The noisy atmosphere was like a volcanic eruption. It surged into the spatial crack. Chapter 2450. Rumble. The raging army rode the wind and waves, shuttling through the dark space cracks. The raging wind swept past them, and terrifying electric arcs flowed, but it did not diminish the determination of the conquering dragon army at all. Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qintian, and Su Yi stood in the wind, their calm eyes filled with murderous intent. Behind him, Shi Wuqing, Qi Feihong, Han Wulong, and the group of marquises and elders, and even the grand elders of the Command Heaven Palace moved out together. Their faces were all ashen, and powerful winds and waves were constantly erupting around them. This time, the imperial palace moved out in full force. 7 to 8 million people were fighting for the peace of the sky barbarians. Boom! Huge spatial ripples appeared in the surrounding space, like golden waves rolling over and over. The aura was extremely terrifying. We're almost there. The Brahma Dragon Celestial Palace. Su Yi's eyes were like torches as he said loudly. The light in front of him was dense, and it was the spatial exit. Su Yi's aura instantly became piercingly cold, as if it was cutting through the void. Hearing this, everyone present was shocked, and their eyes were filled with battle intent. Duanmu Xiaoman's robe fluttered, and her cold voice passed through the wind and thunder into everyone's ears. The Long family is almost there. Immediately, the martial artists roared and the demon beasts howled. In the entire sky barbarians, no one had ever seen a spatial crack with so many people. This is the full battle force of the Imperial Palace. Damn it, tremble, little dragons! Long Pashan shouted loudly, and the soul energy in his body surged into the sky. Draconis, today I will settle all the debts with you. Han Wulong's lips curled up, and his godlike physique was quickly enveloped by the aura of the golden dragon. A faint dragon tattoo appeared between his brows, adding to his domineering aura. On the other side, demonic beasts that blotted out the sky and covered the earth occupied the sky. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent, and between heaven and earth, they spread their wings, and the wind swept away the light arcs in the space. In an instant, in the wind and thunder, everyone's murderous intent shot out. Streams of vigorous aura spread out, and surging murderous intent filled the vast space. Su Yi, the Yun family, the Taiqing sect, the Thunder Fire Temple, the Xinjian Gate, the Holy Mountain, the Myriad Sword Alliance, and hundreds of other sects sent a message last night. They will arrive as soon as possible. Merciless West frowned, and an icy killing intent swept through the world. Good. Everyone, follow me to the heavenly palace. Su Yi's eyes darkened, and his dark eyes were filled with killing intent. As for the Long family, Su Yi had been waiting for this day. He had to take revenge for Elder Tang Wang. When he thought of Elder Tang Wang and all the people who had died because of the Long family, the killing intent in Lu Xiaoyou's eyes had reached an unbearable level. Kill! Vast and mighty, thousands of miles of wind and dust. Dazzling rays of light shot out in all directions and immediately turned into a giant energy beam that poured into the entrance of the heavenly palace. At this time, Tianlan City and Sky Dragon sect were already guarding the entrance of the battleship. On the invisible dragon stairs, Yi and Ba Hai Long Eagle were guarding the entrance. From the dragon stairs to the deck of the battleship, and then to the heavenly palace, there were 3 lines of defense. The dragon stairs were guarded by Tianlan City and Sky Dragon sect. The deck of the battleship was guarded by Long Tsang, the elders of the heavenly palace, and Long Tsang's personal guards. In the end, the heavenly palace was guarded by the grand elders of the Long family and the honorable ones of the Long family until Draconis became a god. No one had expected the situation to develop to this stage. They had thought that everything was under control in the Tianyan continent, but now Su Yi and Duanmu Xiaoman had forcibly stopped them. On the dragon stairs, the clouds drifted for thousands of miles. The murderous intent of the impending battle made Yi and Ba Hai Long Eagle's emotions fluctuate. Last night, when they heard that Su Yi had already killed his way to the Long family, the two of them still had not recovered from the shock. Behind them, Ing Wuxiu had already released the blue orchid lotus. Ing Wuxiu looked worried as he stared at Yi, who was still unrepentant. Master, now that things have come to this, do you still insist on protecting the Long family? Blue Orchid Lotus's crescent brows were heavy with worry. Bleak murderous intent filled the sky, and the air was filled with blood. In the distance, large dark clouds began to gather. It was a sign that a storm was coming. The faint blood in the air made Ing Wuxiu's soul tremble. He raised his eyebrows and looked at Yi Yi, who was standing upright, with hope in his eyes. Now is still the time to turn back, Ing Wuxiu said in a low voice. Beside him, Ba Hai Long Eagle and Ba Hai San Tong narrowed their eyes. Now was the time to panic, and every word was as sensitive as needles. Chance? What chance? Could it be that Sky Sea City still wanted to rely on Su-Yi? Don't forget, you are the ones who plotted to kill Su-Yi. Ba Hai San Tong sneered, his eyes full of disdain. Sky Dragon Sect's strength had never been weaker than the aristocratic families. Among the 5 aristocratic families, the Ba Hai family hated people like Tianlan City the most. Hearing this, Blue Orchid Lotus and Ing Wuxiu retorted and glared at the Ba Hai father and son. Blue Orchid Lotus scolded, "Indeed, we are not like the Ba Hai family, who are accomplices to the evildoers and don't even know that death is near." Enough! Yi furrowed her brows and instantly released her yuan qi, interrupting everyone's words. Yi turned her head and looked at Blue Orchid Lotus and Ing Wuxiu. Her eyes had lost their usual fierceness and arrogance. She said softly, "Don't do anything later, Master." Blue Orchid Lotus and Ing Wuxiu looked at each other, their eyes flashing anxiously. Yi Yi's voice was transmitted into their ears through a secret technique. Now that things have come to this, there is no point in saying more. I will take responsibility for some things. Brother Xiu, Orchid Lotus, you are old friends with Su-Yi, so you will be fine. I only hope that he will forgive the people of Sea City. After saying this, Yi turned around. Ing Wuxiu's nose was red as he lowered his head and did not say a word. Master. Blue Orchid Lotus pursed her lips tightly. A trace of despair and loneliness flashed across her bright eyes. His master would never admit defeat, nor would he apologize. This time, Yi had tacitly agreed that the situation was hopeless. Even the Thunder Fire Temple, which had always been at odds with Yi, had chosen to back down. Yi wasn't doing this out of consideration for Sky Sea City. In the end, she was trying to find a way out for Ing Wuxiu and Lan Balian. She hoped that Su-Yi would forgive Lan Balian and Ing Wuxiu because of this. The lonely Blue Orchid Lotus silently retreated. She looked around and saw the Ba Hai father and son setting up a defensive circle. Everyone, surround the battleship. Don't let go of any corner or entrance. If they come, kill them immediately. Ba Hai Long Eagle's eyes were sharp and cold. He looked at the sects and forces that were gathering from all directions. He was incomparably arrogant. This time, almost all the forces had sent their most elite forces to defend the Sky Palace. The powerful energy streams of countless powerhouses whistled, stirring up countless air currents in the surrounding space, spinning out like small tornadoes. The terrifying Long family army was shockingly large. There were no less than 20 to 30 million people. Chapter 2451. If you're not as good as a martial arts student, at least there's still hope. Yang Jian's deskmate said excitedly, "That's right. If you get into a famous liberal arts school, your salary and benefits won't be low after you graduate." I still want to try. Yang Jian was hesitant. His family background was not bad and his body was strong. He would not be satisfied if he did not try. Chun Fan and Yang Jian did not stop him. Although the chances were slim, the opportunity was right in front of them. There would always be people who would not be satisfied. Although everyone was still young, they understood that if they dissuaded Yang Jian now and he missed the opportunity, they would have a huge grudge. The three of them were talking enthusiastically, but Fong Ping's face was full of confusion. What was going on? Fong Ping gulped and looked at the three of them for a while. He did not see any signs of joking. At this moment, Fong Ping finally realized that something was wrong. He was about to ask when someone else beat him to it again. At the desk next to Fong Ping's, two boys were whispering. They probably felt that the discussion was not interesting because there were too few people around. When Fong Ping's side quieted down, a boy with a crew cut asked excitedly, "Yang Jian, Chun Fan, did you see the news online last night?" Yang Jian and Yang Jian shook their heads. The Gaokao was around the corner. Their families were very strict now, so they did not have time to go online. 7474192. Seeing that the two of them did not know, Fong Ping and the other boy were also confused. The boy with a crew cut laughed. "What a pity! Big news broke last night. Did you know? Grandmaster Ma has broken through rank 8. Grandmaster Ma is not even 40 years old this year, but he's already the #1 martial arts powerhouse of the younger generation." Yesterday, Penguin Group officially issued a challenge to Google Asia Pacific CEO, the veteran rank 8 powerhouse Tam. What? Is it true? Grandmaster Ma has broken through rank 8? Didn't he just break through rank 7 a few years ago? I can't believe it. Zhang Hao, tell us quickly. Is it a public challenge or a private one? A rank 8 battle. I really want to watch it. Too bad we're not qualified to watch it. There were not many who were qualified, so although the news broke last night had already caused a stir, not many people in the class knew about it. The boy with a crew cut, Zhang Hao, had spoken loudly just now. Global Martial Arts latest chapter 174744192. Global Martial Arts newest chapter 7474192. Before Fong Ping and the others could reply, the students nearby who had overheard him were all excited. While Zhang Hao also enjoyed the joy of being the center of attention at this time. He said with a look of joy, "It's true! Grandmaster Ma has really broken through. Not just us, who in the world would dare to believe that he could break through to rank 8 so quickly?" Therefore, when the letter of challenge came out, the whole world was shocked. As long as Grandmaster Ma defeated Tam this time, Penguin Corporation would be able to enter Asia and become one of the most powerful corporations in Asia. In a few more years, once Grandmaster Ma breaks through to level 9, Penguin Group will become one of the world's overlords. Gosh, this is too fast. 8th level of the Supreme Power Realm. Has the Grandmaster list been updated? Grandmaster Ma is trying to get into the top 30. 1 second. Remember to provide you with wonderful novels to read. Go, go, go. Top 30? If it were up to me, top 20 wouldn't be a problem. I don't think so. After all, Grandmaster Ma has just made a breakthrough. How can he rise to the top 20 so quickly? Unless he defeats Tam, he still has a chance. At this time, the students had already started discussing among themselves. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement, admiration, excitement, and desire. Even the girls were no exception at this time. In the whole class, the only exception was Fong Ping. At this time, Fong Ping's brain was in a mess. His face was blank and he was completely dumbfounded. 7474192. What was going on? He understood what everyone was saying, and he was sure that he could read every word that was written. However, why was it that when strung together, he could not understand at all? Who was Grandmaster Ma? Of course, he knew about Penguin Corporation. In 2008, Penguin Corporation was already the dominant company in the eye. He also knew about Google. It would be strange if he did not know. Did Zhang Hao mean that Penguin and Google were competing in business? However, why did it sound so out of place? Fong Ping's throat moved again. He felt that his lips were extremely dry. This script did not seem right. Global Martial Arts latest chapters list 174744192. Global Martial Arts latest chapters list 7474192. Chapter 24:53. I said you won't die. Xiahong Lu's lips curled up slightly, looking indescribably handsome. On the other side, Xikong Tsangxing, Qiu Nongfeng, and Mo Inu also rushed over from the Taiqing continent. The three of them stood together, and the Taiqing sect's powerhouses behind them were full of anger. Their whole body's vitality light floated in the air, shocking everyone. Su-Yi Xinjian Gate Wuji sect, and Taixing sect will also rush over after dealing with the small fries in their sects. When almost everyone had arrived, another heavy voice came from the sky. It was none other than the super powerhouses of the Myriad Sword Alliance. Long Kuei, Long Ye, Duguhen, and Duguyi were among them. The voice just now was made by Duguyi. Duguye's eyes focused, and he said loudly to Merciless West, "Brother Wu Qing, Duguyi is here to fulfill the appointment. Today, you can't kill more people from the Long clan than I do." His voice was loud, and his heroic spirit instantly infected the martial artists present. Long Kuei and Duguhen were a little reserved. They looked at Su-Yi with flickering eyes and showed an embarrassed look at the same time. Seeing Su-Yi walk out safely from the depths of the earth's core, Long Ye smiled like a flower, and there was a trace of comfort on her rosy face. When Duanmu Xiaoman's cold eyes met with Long Ye's in the air, the latter unconsciously restrained her expression and could only nod to Su-Yi. Seeing Long Kuei and Duguhen coming, although Su-Yi looked indifferent, there was a trace of certainty in his heart. One was Long Ye's grandfather, and the other was Situ Muyang's grandfather. They could make the right decision to help him in the face of danger, which had already made up for their previous mistakes. Long Kuei was not a wicked person, and Duguhen understood the value of human kindness. If Situ Muyang was here, he would definitely untie the knot between him and his grandfather. Suddenly, Su-Yi's eyes moved and his heart warmed. He nodded to the reinforcements and shouted loudly, "I, Su-Yi, will remember today's kindness in my heart. Today, let's open up a new heavenly savage realm. King of Heaven's pride is invincible. Number 1 in Sky Berserker Realm." The entire arena was filled with blazing flames, and violent energy exploded into the sky. Countless pairs of eyes intertwined with each other. The seething fighting spirit was enough to topple the world. "Sure. That's great. Now everyone is here," Long Pashan said angrily. "This is the will of the people. Today, the Long family shall be destroyed." In Merciless West, Qi Feihong sighed loudly, hot tears rolling down his face. What kind of high-spirited and imposing manner was this? The sects that had gathered from all directions were united against a common enemy. The flames in their hearts were like an erupting volcano, causing one's heart to surge with emotions. In an instant, the fiery gazes of the audience flickered, and the disadvantageous situation was suddenly reversed. At this moment, the Long family's reinforcements looked at each other with ugly expressions on their faces. The gap between the two sides had shrunk even further. It was hard to say who would win or lose. Moreover, the Myriad Sword Alliance had turned against them at this time. Tianlan City and Bahai Long Eagle immediately understood that Su-Yi's ability to come out of the Earth's core must have something to do with Long Kuei. The pain of losing his son was like a sharp spine piercing his heart. Bahai Long Eagle suddenly stood up, his face flushed red and roared violently. "Long Kuei, Duguhen, you two traitors! The dragon god will not forgive you if he knows." Hearing this, Long Kuei and Duguhen instantly snorted coldly. Staring at the resentful tyrannical sea eagle, Long Kuei said, "This old man has done his best for the Long family. How this old man wants to save the Long family is not up to an outsider like you to make irresponsible remarks." Duguhen also twitched the corner of his mouth. His monstrous killing intent outlined the outline of an icy cold smile as he said, "The dragon god has long gone astray. The Myriad Sword Alliance has suddenly awakened and abandoned the darkness for the light. Do you want everyone to be buried together with him? As soon as his voice fell, Dugurhen's gaze swept across the entire arena. Most of the warriors who supported the Long family had a change of expression, and some of them were somewhat embarrassed. These warriors had no choice. Their strength was not strong, and they had to rely on whoever was stronger. Now, even the Long family's Grand Elder and the Myriad Sword Alliance had betrayed the Long family. Did they really have to risk their lives? Hesitation and embarrassment appeared on everyone's faces. Bullshit. You traitors of the Dragon God are shameless. Today, all of you will be buried together with my San Tong. Suddenly, Bahai Long Eagle took a step forward, and the surrounding blazing space suddenly surged with stormy wave. Huge spatial waves surged for over 100 meters. As the waves rippled, the huge wood attribute dragon opened its bloody maw, and faint golden dragon patterns spread out from it. Heaven's might was vast and mighty, and a soft dragon roar spread across the sky. This wood attribute killer move had obviously used the energy of an 8th level Yuan domain stage cultivation. The violent fury swept across the sky, and it was very shocking. In a flash, the eyes of countless warriors behind him lit up, and they stood behind Bahai Long Eagle with the Sky Dragon Sect's supreme elders. Profound runes densely covered their bodies, and a torrential force whistled and circulated. In the surrounding space, Merciless West, including Chi Feihong, and the others stared dumbfoundedly at the distant sky. Their eyes were completely shocked by Bahai Long Eagle's strength. Not only Su Yi's side, but even the Long family's reinforcements gasped. No wonder he's so supportive of Draconis. It turns out that he's benefited from Draconis. Duguxia narrowed his eyes. Under the Long family's wings, Bahai Long Eagle's improvement in these years was amazing. Boom! At the same time, Long Kuei's figure flashed and blocked in front of Bahai Long Eagle. His entire body was filled with a golden dragon's shadow, and a fierce light like a mountain instantly covered the entire arena. Long Kuei's eyes shot out a ray of light, and his fierce and heavy voice spread across the arena as he roared, "Since you have the golden dragon bloodline, this old man will clean up the Long family's house. The Long family doesn't need a dog like you." After saying that, Long Ya's eyes darkened. She also activated her 6th stage opening Yuan Zong stage, and a majestic golden dragon energy spread out from the center of her body. The energy ripples swept across the surrounding space, and the void instantly became distorted and blurry. Rumble! In less than 3 seconds, the sound of a collision resounded across the sky, and a murderous aura surged out from the surrounding space. A golden storm surged, and within the vast void of the Long family's residence, a terrifying sonic boom resounded across the heavens and earth. Merciless West's eyes lit up, and his battle intent instantly condensed. His voice was mixed with vitality, and it spread across the entire arena. "Even the Myriad Sword Alliance is fighting, we can't fall behind." At his command, the generals roared, and their blood boiled. The surging energy storm of Long Kuei and Duguxia was like a spark that ignited everyone's battle intent. "Charge! Kill all these bastards! Bahai Long Eagle, just you wait! Little bastards, I'll teach you a lesson!" Chi-la-la! Suddenly, the experts from the Imperial Palace, Chaos Territory, Demon Subduing Sect, Taiching Sect, and the Sacred Mountain looked at the surrounding space, and their bodies were covered in a bloody aura that swept across the sky as they joined the battle. Chapter 2454. Thousands of miles away, the battle shook the heavens. Tens of millions of figures shuttled between heaven and earth, and the continuous sonic booms quickly destroyed the dragon stairs. The Yao beasts did not dare to show any weakness. They twisted their huge bodies and smashed toward the Long family, their roars echoing through the mountains and plains. With the addition of the Overlord Legion and the Sky Demon Army, the Long family was immediately smashed into pieces, and the broken world was filled with the smell of blood. The mountains and rivers were destroyed, and the clouds were turbulent. Large patches of dark clouds were destroyed, and all kinds of thunderstorms gathered. The entire space suddenly changed color, and the world shook. The battle was noisy, and the wind and clouds surged. Shouts and screams filled the air, and the sound of fighting and essence chi explosions were incessant. Compared to the battle between the Divine Tiger Sect and the Immeasurable Sect and the Heavenly Palace, the battle between the Long family and the Heavenly Palace was destined to go down in history. Looking from afar, tens of millions of people were fighting at the same time, and the Heavenly Palace instantly became a bloody battlefield. Kill! Behind Su Yi Shangguan Tianqian, Su Jingyuan, and the people from the Tian Yao school shot forward, and the light was like blood rushing into the sky. Let's go in first. Leave this place to them. At this moment, Yun Zhongli had already reached Su Yi's side. The myriad sword alliance, Long Kuei, and Xiahong House were near the dragon stairs, so there was no need to worry. Hearing Yun Zhongli's words, Su Yi, Duanmu Xiaoman, and Duanmu Qintian nodded. At this moment, the battle had only started for a quarter of an hour, and the Long family had already turned into an endless hell. The smell of blood swept through the sky, and countless martial artists were directly shattered, bursting into a bloody mist that poured into the sky. Terrifying light filled the surroundings, and 4 figures, the strongest 4 of them, turned into rays of light and rushed to the sky above the dragon's stairs like phantoms. Rumble! Lightning flashed between the mountains and rivers, and twisted flames kept erupting. Numerous figures were sent flying, and terrifying waves were set off. Bang! 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 Soon, Su Yi and the others were like arrows, and their footsteps were light as they directly arrived near the dragon's stairs. Lightning flashed, and the figures below were shattered. Su Yi passed through the battle circle of Sky Sea City, and Yi was in the midst of a fierce battle. Swish, swish. Azure waves shot out from between Yi's palms. The enormous waves carried a violent aura that blotted out the sky and covered the sun. In the blink of an eye, the dozens of Long family powerhouses in front of her had been blasted into powder by Yi and scattered in the air. Su Yi's gaze slowly darkened as he watched Yi turn against him once again and fight alongside the Overlord Legion. His cold voice was like ice falling from the sky, causing Yi to freeze on the spot. Yi, your life is after the Long family's. No matter how you try to fix it, you won't be able to get rid of that ugly face of yours. Hearing that, she instantly stopped the outputting of Yuan Qi. The light in Yi's eyes changed. When he looked up again, Su Yi and the others had already crossed the sky and flew up. Yi would never forget that bone-chilling voice. No one had ever dared to talk to her like that. However, the supreme heavenly monarch Yi of the aristocratic family was like a weakling who was endlessly embarrassed. Beside her, the incessantly shooting rays of light exploded, but the boundless killing intent still couldn't pull back Yi, whose heart had gone cold. Yi was in a daze. Master! Lan Xiaoyan pursed her cherry lips tightly and looked at the heavenly monarch with a slight smile. At this time, he discovered that Su Yi had already rushed up the dragon's stairs. Tyrannical Sea Eagle's violent aura surged, blocking everyone's attacks. His figure was like an arrow of light, wanting to intercept him. Su Yi, you bastard, get down here! Tyrannical Sea Eagle roared. Boundless wood energy gathered out of thin air, and the entire space immediately began to shake. The person you want to deal with is me. Long Kuei roared furiously, and the image of a golden dragon soared into the sky. Stop him! Don't let anyone from the Sky Dragon sect go. Duggerhen glanced at the 4 people above, and also did his best to cover the retreat for Su Yi and the others. Tyrannical Sea Eagle's wooden dragon had just covered the space when it was directly interrupted by several people. Hearing the intensity of the battle, Yi finally came back to her senses. Waves of light and shadows of long swords rushed out again. In an instant Yi, Long Kuei, and Duguhen surrounded the Sky Dragon sect powerhouses. This time, I won't be wrong again. Yi shouted angrily. She stared at tyrannical Sea Eagle, and the energy in her body raged. Bitch, you're finally smart for a moment. Yenmietian, who was fighting fiercely in the distance, changed his hand seals and shouted in Yi's direction. In the next second, Yi, Long Kuei, and Duguhen attacked at the same time. A terrifying aura filled the sky, and a huge amount of heaven and earth energy fell from the sky, quickly engulfing everyone from the Sky Dragon sect, including tyrannical Sea Eagle. In the vast space there were crazy explosions, and there was no corner that was peaceful. Cracks spread rapidly around the dragon's stairs like a spider web. The invisible stairway was mixed with a huge energy impact, and it was directly smashed into pieces. The golden light scattered like fireworks. The moment the stairway shattered, the 4 people finally boarded the Sky Palace battleship. An ancient golden dragon aura poured over their heads, and the 4 people's eyes darkened at the same time. The faint golden threads floating in the air contained an extremely strong spatial energy, and the calm space seemed as if nothing had happened. It was the end of the world below, but the battleship was still as usual, like the surface of an ancient well. Looking at the battleship in front of him that was covered by golden clouds, Yun Zhongli said in a low voice, "I just searched the souls of a few people. The deck of the battleship is guarded by Long Tsang, the elders of the Sky Palace, and Long Tsang's personal guards. They should be in the golden clouds now." Hearing this, Su Yi raised his chin slightly, and his cold eyes were like an endless abyss. Long Tsang, I haven't heard this name for a long time. Suddenly, Su Yi smiled and said, "Let's end this quickly, and don't let Draconis succeed in his seclusion." After that, the 4 of them turned around and charged into the golden clouds at lightning speed. Roar! The moment their bodies touched the golden clouds, the heaven and earth seemed to have sounded an alarm, and the majestic dragon aura rushed from the deck to the sky. Golden light rose into the sky, and the dragon's roar bloomed in the depths of the sky. In an instant, the golden clouds dispersed, and the battleship's full appearance was revealed. What came into view was groups of Long Tsang's personal guards, who were standing in front of the 4 people in an orderly manner. Their faces were solemn, and their killing intent was clear. Ha! The army of 100,000 people was led by the elders of the Sky Palace, and they quickly stood in a specific direction. Suddenly, the huge golden dragon shadow behind them occupied the sky, and the array under their feet was majestic. The soul-shaking roar shocked the 4 people at the same time. Endless golden light, and the shadow looked disdainfully. Those who resist the dragon god will be killed without mercy. An elder's eyes were gloomy, and the dazzling golden light spread like the sun. Instantly, the 4 people's mouths twitched at the same time. The strength of the Long family was indeed not to be underestimated. Long Tsang's personal guards were formed by the people with the strongest bloodline in the Long family. Compared to the Sky Battalion, the difference was like the difference between the core disciples and the inner disciples. At this moment, the battleship was surrounded by the aura of the Golden Dragon. Just by standing there, they could feel an inexplicable pressure crushing down on them. Chapter 2455. Yun Zhongli's eyes trembled as he said to Su Yi, "This is the Long family's strongest battle technique, the dragon-binding god-killing formation. It's not ordinary at all." Duanmu Qingtian nodded. His eyes were extremely cold as he said, "Back then, the wild owl and this formation made me suffer a lot." Su Yi glanced sideways. This formation seemed to be extraordinary if it could hold back the origin sky realm Duanmu Qingtian. As his gaze fell on the dragon-binding god-killing formation, part of Su Yi's memories instantly surfaced in his mind. His confidence that was as vast as the sea flashed before his eyes. "Later, the 4 of us will split up and find the eye of the formation to break it. Duanmu Xiaoman didn't seem to notice Su-yi at all. Her snowy eyes were filled with coldness as a terrifying aura quietly spread out. Okay. Yun Zhongli replied. Okay. Sister, be careful. Su-yi? Duanmu Qingtian asked. After not hearing Su-yi's voice for a long time, the three of them looked sideways and saw that Su-yi's body was enveloped in golden light. The lifelike golden light dragon patterns covered his limbs as if they were inlaid. His aura was extremely domineering, as if he was possessed by the god of death. Su-yi might know something, Duanmu Xiaoman said in surprise. Seeing Su-yi use the golden dragon aura, the three of them trembled at the same time and did not dare to disturb him. Su-yi, who was silent, stood still in front of the army. The golden dragon aura became more and more terrifying, and the golden storm also started to circulate. Ha ha ha! At this moment, the Long family's elders' faces turned green as a cold and disdainful smile appeared behind them. A golden figure appeared in the sky above the army. The newcomer walked in the air with disdain and contempt in his long and evil eyes. It was the Long family's #1 youth, Long Tsang. Su-yi, you don't dare to move after seeing this formation? Looking down from the sky, Long Tsang, who was at the 5th level of Origin Ancestor Realm, stared coldly at Su-yi. Su-yi did not reply. Long Tsang faintly smiled. Looking at the golden dragon aura on Su-yi's body, he immediately said, "As expected of my Long family's vile spawn. Don't blame the Long family for being ruthless since you've come to die today." Long Tsang became even more arrogant when he saw that Su-yi was silent as though he was in a daze. His dark eyes wandered between the Duanmu Xiaoman and the Duanmu Qingtian. "Brat, I advise you not to spout nonsense. The tyrant sees 3 links below is an example." Yun Zhongli let out a cold snort, and a burst of energy burst out from his body. The half-step Yuan Tian stage light beam hit the dragon-binding god-killing formation, instantly creating a series of sonic booms. The ferocious wind swirled in the sky, but only a sonic boom could be heard. The huge commotion quickly dissipated into nothingness. Under Yun Zhongli's attack, the array only shook slightly. Continue, old man Yun. You have always been against my Long family. This time, you can finally attack the Long family. Are you happy? Long Tsang seemed to have realized that Yun Zhongli could not shake the array. "Brat, while you can still speak, call your father out?" Yun Zhongli said impatiently. Long Tsang's contempt instantly made Yun Zhongli's killing intent shoot out. Hearing this, Long Tsang sneered and ignored Yun Zhongli. Long Tsang raised his head and laughed. He stared at the Duanmu Qingtian and the Duanmu Xiaoman and said, "Goddess Hutian and Mighty Crane, I didn't expect that my Long family would provoke 3 half-step Yuan Tian stage cultivators today. Brat, I'll say it again. Call your parents out." The Duanmu Qingtian waved his hand. He was too lazy to listen to Long Tsang. "How dare a stray dog bark? How dare you challenge the Long family?" Long Tsang's eyes were filled with arrogance. He looked at the person who had long been a legend in the Long family with a disdainful face. Hearing Long Tsang's words, the Duanmu Qingtian also condensed his killing intent. Yuan Qi covered his fists and palms. "Motherf *Ker, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your father," the Duanmu Qingtian shouted. Bang! Without any delay, the Duanmu Xiaoman took the first step. The killing intent in her heart surged. She waved her hand, and the blue ice luan around her suddenly rushed towards the dragon-killing array. The crazy energy exploded out of thin air, and a majestic blue frost poured out from the ice luan's huge mouth, turning into a blue storm that blotted the sky, and directly expanded and spread out. So fast. Yun Zhongli and the Duanmu Qingtian were shocked. At the same time, all the elders of the Long family who were controlling the array did not dare to be careless. Hundreds of Yuan domain realm elders of the Long family stood in front of them and faced the boundless ice storm head-on. The golden dragon roared, and the Luan's cry shook the sky. The sky instantly trembled, and the blue light beam collided with the golden dragon shadow barrier. Countless ice crystals poured down from the sky, and the golden barrier instantly spread into a long spider web. The shockwave spread across the sky, and the Duanmu Xiaoman was instantly pushed back. Yun Zhongli and the Duanmu Qingtian's faces changed at the same time. Sister. Palace Master Duanmu. After the sonic boom, the golden array quickly returned to its original state. Immediately, Yun Zhongli said in a low voice, "The array that these elders are guarding is obviously strengthened, and it should be connected to the entire battleship. Even if we are half-step Yuan Tian realm cultivators, our individual strength is still not comparable to the power of heaven and earth." Duanmu Qingtian supported Duanmu Xiaoman and looked at the hundreds of calm elders. Duanmu Xiaoman's reddish face flashed with a hint of seriousness. Ha ha ha, the Long family is not something that you can challenge at will. Today I will show you who is the strongest. Long Tsang was even more unscrupulous. He stared at Duanmu Xiaoman and the others with a sneer. This kid is really courting death. Damn it, if it wasn't for the fact that my cultivation had regressed, I would have crushed this kid to death with my thumb. Duanmu Qingtian shouted in a low voice. Immediately, the three of them looked at Su Yi, hoping that Su Yi would be able to quickly gain an epiphany. The golden dragon aura around Su Yi's body was getting more and more terrifying, and there was confusion in the depths of his eyes. Let's protect them, three half-step Yuan Tian realm cultivators, there is no need to be afraid of him. Duanmu Qingtian shouted. Let's go. Duanmu Xiaoman nodded her head, and a stream of water elemental energy was shot out again. Boom! At the same time, Long Tsang's figure slowly moved away from the formation. He laughed loudly and said, Su Yi, I will be waiting for you in the heavenly palace. I hope you can crawl over here. Kid, stop right there. Duanmu Qingtian rushed out first, and the aura of the three of them instantly covered the whole area. The three half-step Yuan Tian realm cultivators raised their arms at the same time, and an unimaginable amount of energy collided with the formation again. Roar! Suddenly, the dragon-killing formation also expanded, and the golden dragon opened its huge dragon claws and rushed towards the three of them. In an instant, in the white clouds, the sword waves swept across the area, and Duanmu Xiaoman once again used her Ice Phoenix true form. The three figures collided with the golden dragon, and in the earth-shattering sound of the explosion, an extremely sharp fire wave appeared in the air. In the air, Duanmu Xiaoman looked back and saw that it was Su Yi, who had just recovered from his epiphany. Her face was filled with surprise and joy. Seeing that the golden dragon was about to collide with Duanmu Xiaoman and the others, Su Yi shouted. Chapter 2456. Get out of the way. Stand at the position of wind, earth, water, mountain, water, and thunder respectively. As soon as he finished speaking, Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, and Yun Zhongli withdrew their forces at the same time. Without any delay, they turned into light shadows and landed at their designated positions. In the blink of an eye, Su Yi, who was surrounded by divine light, had already summoned the blood demon killing god sword. The aura of the golden dragon permeated heaven and earth, and the dazzling golden dragon claw behind him danced. An overwhelming divine aura filled the air. The dragon ancestor medicine scripture. This guy has the most precious treasure of the dragon tribe. This guy has comprehended the array core of the dragon binding god killing array from the scripture. Oh no! Everyone, get out of the way! Protect the array core! The elders who were guarding the array core trembled. They had sensed the dragon ancestor medicine scripture's aura from Su Yi's golden dragon. Instantly, everyone gasped at the same time. Su Yi, who was in the air, looked cold. The sharp sword qi transformed into an unparalleled aura. Murderous intent shot out from his pitch-black eyes. Long Tsang, did I say you could leave? Long Tsang, who was about to go to the heavenly palace, turned around when he heard the voice. The corner of his mouth twitched as if he had seen a ghost. Boom! Long Tsang's pupils contracted. In his pitch-black eyes, the sword chi in Su Yi's hand surged. It was as if a ferocious god had descended to the mortal world. Then, the sword chi surged. Su Yi, who was in the heavenly fire Doran position, stared coldly at Long Tsang, who was behind the 100,000 people. With a slight smile, a majestic aura burst out from his body. Red light filled the sky as he slashed at the array core of the heavenly fire Doran position. Chi la la! The blood devil's killing god sword buzzed. A huge red wave suddenly hit the array core. Behind the golden barrier, dozens of people were sent flying. Bang! Bang! As soon as the heavenly fire Doran position was broken, a large area of the dragon binding god killing formation was shattered as well. Dragon scale-like patterns flashed out continuously. At the same time, Duanmu Xiaoman, Yun Zhongli, and Duanmu Qingtian's pitch-black eyes were brimming with killing intent. Their auras surged out, and the 3 array cores emitted dazzling light. Rumble! Golden lightning shot forth from the binding dragon divine killing formation, and energy surged in the void above. The aura of the golden dragon dispersed like lightning, transforming into a storm that swept through heaven and earth, shattering the space around it inch by inch. Above the void, the 4 of them gathered together again, their robes fluttering in the wind. At the same time, they gloomily looked at the broken god-killing formation below them. In just a few seconds, under Su Yi's instructions, the 3 supreme beings who were half a step away from Yuan Tian quickly broke the dragon-binding god-killing formation. It's broken! Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were cold. He pointed below and said, "But the Long family still has a trump card." On the strange warship, the aura of the golden dragon gathered again. After the deity slaying array was broken, hundreds of elders and experts spat out blood, and a small portion of the personal guard's auras were in turmoil. However, all of this seemed to be within their expectations. After the deity's slaying array was broken, everyone exerted their full strength. The aura of the golden dragon surged out of their bodies. Everyone formed hand seals, and a steady stream of energy surged out, forming another protective formation. It's a formation made purely by the aura of the golden dragon. It's mainly defensive, but it's time-consuming and energy-consuming. Yun Zhongli frowned thoughtfully. Over the years, the Yun family and the Long family had been at loggerheads, and the Yun family had done their best to gather intelligence on the Long family. Duanmu Xiaoman nodded immediately. Duanmu Qingtian looked at Su Yi, only to see Su Yi staring into the distance disapprovingly. Long Tsang stood at the highest point of the warship, and his body slowly began to fade. He was extremely shocked when he saw Su Yi break the formation. When the personal guards gathered again, Long Tsang's gloomy voice sounded, "Su Yi, you will never be able to stop the Long family's path to godhood. Go to hell." Roar. A sharp dragon's roar resounded through the sky. Then, Long Tsang disappeared into the sky, and golden ripples spread out in all directions. "This kid runs really fast. If it weren't for someone protecting him, I would have killed him 10,000 times." Duanmu Qingtian gnashed his teeth in hatred. Su Yi remained silent. His calmness at this critical moment made him more focused. Only extreme speed and calmness could stop Draconis. "Su Yi, today, we will stop you from entering the heavenly palace even if we are all wiped out. Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, today, the Long family will ask for advice from you. Su Yi, you bastard, return the dragon ancestors' medicine manual to us." Inside the formation, the Long family's elders and personal guards roared in the sky. They were ready to die. Seeing Su Yi use their family's secret technique to break their formation, the Long family's hatred for Su Yi reached its peak. However, no matter how loud they shouted, Su Yi's revenge could not be disrupted. This formation is not difficult. But the Golden Dragon clan is famous for their amazing defense. I'm afraid it will take some time. Sui looked at Duanmu Qingtian, Duanmu Xiaoman, and Yun Zhongli. As soon as he finished speaking, the three half-step Yuan Tian stage supreme beings released a huge amount of energy from their foreheads. The four of them started to fight against the Long family's 10,000-year-old foundation. Breaking all formations with one force, what was there to be afraid of? Go! The surging energy was like a tidal wave, and the terrifying origin chi was like a floodgate opening. The four of them worked together to gather all the energy together and shoot it towards the array. Boom! The moment the Yuan chi surged, a vast soul aura rushed out from the formation. In the next second, the sky and the earth exploded. The huge space crack once again spread out, and monstrous purple chi spread out from the crack. Then, the enchanting and crisp meow of a cat shook the sky. The sound waves were like the sound of a beast. Su Yi's heart skipped a beat, and he looked up at the sky. In the sky above, the space seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. Numerous bewitching amber-colored eyes were revealed between the cracks. After which, over 100 devastatingly beautiful figures walked out from the space. Their figures were graceful, and their voices were moving. When the light shone on the hundreds of people, all the Long family members who were shouting were attracted to them. Whoosh! The crack then closed, and the faces of over 100 people entered everyone's eyes. What was strange was that these over 100 people were all delicate women. They had different styles and each had their own merit. Sui, do you still remember us? Aya, I didn't expect there to be so many dragon cubs here. Big sister isn't here. Why didn't you call us when there's a big battle like this? Humph, second sister, you're so naughty. Let me see. Sob. Sister Qianxue, please control second sister. It turned out that the people who came to help were none other than the 9 spiritual lynx clan. Ling Miaoyin, Ling Shuangyin, Ling Muyin, and the rest who he met in the demonic forest were all here. Suddenly, a fierce demonic aura storm swept across the battleship, and the sky changed color. The aura of the Beast clan was breathtaking. Chapter 2457. It's you guys! Sui exclaimed in delight when he saw his old friends. At that moment, Ling Miaoyin and the rest had just returned to their true forms. Although their aura remained, their movements were slightly sluggish, which added to their charm. Sui, I'm finally here. Standing among the crowd, Ling Qianxue's eyes were as clear as water as she stared at Sui. She was filled with battle intent. In the air, Yun Zhongli and Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were wide open. Not only were the immortal-like cat demon powerhouses shocked, but they were also shocked by the powerful ancient aura. Although there were only 100 of them, they were powerful enough. The 9-spirit lynx clan is good at creating illusions. They're perfect to deal with this bucket-sized golden dragon formation. Duanmu Xiaoman had heard of Ling Qianxue's name before. She was overjoyed when she saw her. She bowed slightly at Ling Qianxue. Swoosh! Ling Qianxue flew to Duanmu Xiaoman and smirked. Sister, I've brought the current combat strength of the demon aura forest. Draconis must die today. Suddenly, Su Yi's heart warmed as he nodded. He then looked at the dragon tribe powerhouses below. They looked grim, but they dared not do anything. You're scared, but you can't do anything to me. I didn't expect the dragon tribe to be scared. Everyone, listen up. Tear the entrance open with all you've got. Xiaoman, master, and I will charge into the heavenly palace. Sui shouted. The 100 people responded at the same time. Naturally, Yun Zhongli and Ling Qianxue covered the back for the 3 of them. The dragon tribe people were shocked as soon as they heard that. They activated all of their golden dragon aura and shouted. Although they were prepared to die, the 9-spirit lynx's arrival ruined the dragon tribe elders' plan. Do you think we're pushovers? Activate the Golden Dragon formation. Everyone, listen up. We must help the Dragon God break through today. Protect him with all you've got. Protect the Dragon God. Sonic booms filled the air. The Dragon Tribe elders on the battleship went berserk. Terrifying golden energy filled the huge space like a flash flood. Kill. Without any delay, Su Yi's gaze also darkened as the blood demon killing god sword danced in the air. The whistling sword insight gave rise to enormous waves while spatial rifts spread out swiftly. Everywhere it passed, everything was transformed into pieces. Attack. Behind him, Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qintian, and Yun Zhongli also spread out instantly. They waved their hands, and huge soul light pillars collided with the golden dragon array like meteors. Buzz. The beastly sounds were faint, and the bewitching cries were carried by the wind. They quickly traveled through the cracks in space and fell straight into the hearts of the golden dragon army. When the 4 violent shock waves crashed into the golden dragon formation, the eyes of all the soldiers trembled, and a heart-wrenching pain spread through their bodies. Ah! Under such a soul attack, a large number of personal guards spat out mouthfuls of blood. Their complexions were pale and their blood-red hair was disheveled. They were in an incomparably sorry state. Boom! The personal guards jolted. Under the terrifying soul attack and the sword gleam, spatial rifts began to appear on the golden dragon formation. In the chaotic space, sword gleams shot out and souls filled the air. The golden light rifts that were spreading out rapidly looked like a spider web. Xiaoman Master, let's go! Seeing that the rifts had been exposed, Su Yi shouted immediately and said softly to the 2 white silhouettes behind him. Whoosh! The killing intent in his eyes overflowed to the heavens. Overwhelming yuan qi spread across the heaven and earth. Under the golden light, the blood demon killing god sword in Su Yi's hand drew a mysterious arc suddenly. His figure turned like lightning and entered the great formation. You! A sharp piercing sound was heard, and 2 extreme soul suppression passed over everyone's heads. All of the injured elders from the dragon tribe were shocked when they lifted their heads to look. They did not expect their golden dragon formation to be nothing with the help of the 9 spirit links. In reality, they did not expect the 4 of them to be the most powerful people in the Sky Barbarian tribe. If these ordinary elders from the dragon tribe could not use the heaven and earth strength of the battleship, how could the glowing worms compete with the moon? The crisp sound of a sword blade was heard, and Su Yi was already at the top of the golden clouds. The sword gleam sliced through the air with a majestic killing intent. The space beneath exploded wherever the sword blade passed by, and the scorching heaven and earth suppression went toward the 100,000 golden dragon army. Bang! The heavens and the earth rumbled. Under the vast pressure, Su Yi glanced indifferently at the scene of desolation beneath him, and then he turned around like a god of death that had descended into the world, and he revealed a fierce and dignified aura that caused others to be unable to resist. Soon, the 3 of them disappeared. Faint spatial ripples rippled like the breeze before a storm. Ha ha! 9 spirit links, I'm honored to be able to fight with all of you today. Come visit my Cloud Immortal Ancient sect more often in the future. Among the scattered golden dragon army, Yun Zhongli was killing them as if he was cutting vegetables. It was like he was dancing in a mad battle. He was in high spirits. Sure. Grandpa with the white beard, you're so interesting. Thank you, sect leader Yun. Old man Bai, don't you dare do anything to us, okay? Up to 109 spirit lynxes turned into dazzling demonic glows as they shuttled through the golden dragon army. Although it was an intense battle, they seemed to be at ease as they joked around. Soon, the dragon tribe's battleship was covered in blood, and a crimson killing intent lingered in the air. Whoosh! The true form of the Brahma dragon heavenly palace that was clearly in a different realm from the dragon body, and the battleship finally appeared before everyone. The giant golden dragon's silhouette hovered before it like a living golden dragon that occupied heaven and earth. Its gigantic ferocious eyes stared straight at heaven and earth. Two ferocious glows swept across heaven and earth like a storm. The surrounding space was enveloped by a powerful and majestic aura at all times, making one's soul want to crawl. Looking at the majestic golden dragon before him, the golden dragon aura in Su Yi's body was activated. His battle intent gathered, and terrifying golden glows kept gushing out. Draconis should be in there, Duanmu Xiaoman said softly. Duanmu Qingtian, who was standing aside, said nothing. His eyes were filled with extreme battle intent and killing intent. He hated the dragon tribe more than anyone else. Duanmu Qingtian had been on the run for decades, and the day he had been waiting for had finally arrived. Draconis, get out here! Duanmu Qingtian's eyes flickered. His deep voice turned into a sword wave that could destroy heaven and earth. Subsequently, an extreme golden glow shot out of his dragon eye. Dozens of dragon tribes' venerable supreme elders slowly floated out of the golden glow. Light surged in his other eye, and Long Tsang quickly descended from it. Su Yi, I've underestimated you. I can't believe you managed to chase me all the way here. Long Tsang landed with a terrifying smile on his lip. Dozens of dragon tribes' venerable supreme elders and dragon tribes' venerable supreme elders stood in a row as soon as he spoke. Their wrinkled faces were solemn. To them, this was the most critical moment for the dragon tribe. Chapter 2458. Ha! Dozens of 9th Stage Yuan Domain Realm and Half-Step Yuan Tian Stage Golden Dragon experts gathered together and twisted the space around them. Golden light surged, and the figures instantly became stalwart as they stared at Duanmu Xiaoman and Duanmu Qingtian. The eyes of the elders were filled with hatred and resentment. The sky changed, and hundreds of golden dragons began to appear above their heads. Golden light shone brightly as wind and thunder rumbled. The dragon palace is closed off. I didn't expect it to be forced to this extent by these three brats, an old man said to Su Yi and the others. He could barely open his eyes. Duanmu Qingtian and Duanmu Xiaoman's faces instantly turned serious. Duanmu Xiaoman said in a low voice, since these old fellows have all come out, it seems like Draconis is very confident in becoming a god this time. Su Yi nodded as he looked at the sky. The grand elders of the Long family were not comparable to the elders of the other families. The Yuan Domain realm was the peak of the martial arts of the Heaven Barbarian realm. The Yuan Tian stage was something that was impossible to exist in the thin Yuan Qi environment of the Heaven Barbarian realm. The Duanmu siblings had broken through the shackles of their cultivation and stepped into the half-step Yuan Tian stage with the help of the art of driving the heavens. Draconis had the golden dragon bloodline, so he naturally had a certain chance. In terms of martial arts prodigies, the ancient Cloud Celestial sect had the deepest accumulation of heaven barbarians. Yun Zhongli's half-step Yuan Tian stage did not rely on any power outside of the Heaven Barbarian realm. Apart from these freaks, the old men in front of them who had cultivated to become demons could not break through the half-step Yuan Tian stage due to their innate talent. However, they had remained in the Yuan Domain realm for decades or even centuries. If one were to really talk about it, he could definitely be considered the strongest 9th-level Origin Domain stage expert. Moreover, there were so many other experts of the same type. This battle was much more difficult and troublesome than the battle between the dragon body and the battleship. I have to fight even if it's difficult, Su Yi thought to himself. Then, he looked at Long Tsang and said softly, how dare a trash of the Origin Ancestor stage claim to be number one among your peers? Today, I'll show you what the true aura of a golden dragon is. As soon as his voice fell, a golden light surged between Su Yi's eyebrows, and the surrounding space suddenly sparkled like endless stars. Inside the vast and surging starlight formation, 3 golden dragon souls were flying around inside the heavenly origin demon soul, protecting all of his meridians and mind. The 9 drops of blood essence were blazing like the sun. In the next second, the 9 golden dragons around him whistled through the clouds, passing through the stars and heading straight for the horizon. Rumble! Above the vault of heaven, the hundreds of little golden dragons that had been eyeing them covetously just a moment ago instantly disappeared after being hit by these 9 golden dragons. In the blink of an eye, 9 golden dragons appeared in the sky, and the space around them seemed to have solidified. The aura of the roaring golden dragons made everyone draw a sharp intake of breath. This is... Long Tsang was instantly stunned. When he looked at Su-yi again, his heart was in turmoil. The Su-yi in front of him was covered in pure gold. His figure was tall and sturdy, and his green robes fluttered in the wind. Divine inscriptions surged between his eyes, making him look like a dragon god. With a wave of his hand, Su-yi's eyes turned cold as killing intent surged out. He said coldly, "Long family, today, I'll use these 9 drops of golden dragon blood to kill all of you Long family bastards." As soon as he finished speaking, his aura soared. His already terrifying 6th-stage Yuan domain aura rose by 2 stages. The boiling battle flames and body temperature instantly infected everyone present. All the Long family elders opened their eyes in shock. Boom! Perhaps sensing that something was wrong, the Long family elders quickly pulled Long Tsang and threw him back into the depths of the Sky Palace. "Young master, it's dangerous. Quickly inform the dragon god that the Long family is in trouble today." At this moment, the Long family's supreme elders did not dare to be careless. They circulated their 9th-stage Yuan domain strength, and the entire space shattered. Inside the shattered golden light patterns, the Long family's supreme elders' faces trembled. This young man was strong enough. Even though his 6th-stage Yuan domain cultivation had risen by 2 stages, his aura was not much weaker than the 2 half-step Yuan sky experts beside him. Suddenly, Long Tsang, who was standing at the entrance of the Sky Palace, blushed as envy rushed to his head. He had finally verified that not only was Su-yi not a vile spawn of the Long family, but he was also the most outstanding bloodline successor. 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence was a supreme bloodline that was even more terrifying than an atavistic genius like Draconis. Long Tsang's heart was trampled on once again. His dignity, which had scabbed over with great difficulty, was repeatedly trampled on by Su-yi. At this moment, Long Tsang realized how stupid he was. Not only was he stupid, but even the golden dragon bloodline that he was proud of had become worthless. Standing high up, Long Tsang thought about how he had run all the way here from the battleship and hid behind the powerful Su-yi time and time again. In comparison, he was a piece of trash. Instantly, Long Tsang roared as the golden vortex beneath his feet spun. He shouted at the 3 people below, "Su-yi, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you today." After saying that, Long Tsang raised his head and looked at the dragon eye where he had come out from. He smiled mysteriously and charged into the Sky Palace. After Long Qin left, the Long family's elders who were lined up in a row breathed a sigh of relief. The dragon family's elder who had spoken just now continued. "Young man, I don't know where your bloodline came from. Since you're a member of the Long family, why did you do such a thing?" On the opposite side, Su-yi was surrounded by golden light. Bathed in divine light, his aura was monstrous. Beside him, the Duanmu siblings had already taken up their stances. The light from their half-step Yuan sky cultivation dazzled the sky. Some people will never understand even in death that the dragon family's bloodline is not glorious because of you. In front of the sacred golden dragon bloodline, the so-called Long family is nothing but trash. And as soon as he finished speaking, the golden dragon around Su-yi roared as a vast golden light illuminated the sky and instantly blasted toward the Long family's elder. Whoosh whoosh. The 9 dragons were entwined, and 2 white lights were embellished. The 3 powerful light shadows instantly broke through the Long family's restriction formation and arrived in front of the Long family's elder. At the same time, the Long family's elders also changed their figures and surrounded the 3 of them. Dozens of elders stretched out their hands at lightning speed. The golden light turned into palm prints and rushed into the sky. The sky palace behind them was instantly filled with a vast and murderous divine light. The golden dragons were like living creatures. Under the divine light, the blood of the dozens of elders surged, and their auras also skyrocketed. These old men are also burning their blood essence. Duanmu Qingtian looked at them and said in a serious voice. Immediately, dozens of golden dragons burst out from the bodies of the elders, forming a huge halo that surrounded Su Yi and the others. Inside the halo, a fierce pressure with blazing heat quickly rushed toward the 3 of them, and a chill quickly spread from the bottom of their hearts. It was only today that the dragon family's bloodline attack was fully displayed. 1 monster and 2 half-step Yuan sky cultivators, in a space full of golden dragon aura, they still felt that it was extremely difficult to deal with. Chapter 2459. Su Yi, Duanmu Qingtian, and the others, who were surrounded, looked extremely gloomy. The dozens of 9th-level origin ancestor powerhouses before them started to exert their strength. The origin chi in their meridians started to boil and surge. Roar. Within the golden light net, the ice luan roared, the golden dragon roared, and the unparalleled sword wave stirred the sky. The ferocious pressure kept resisting the light net's continuous erosion. The blood chi in this light net is the lifetime blood essence of these dozens of old things. It's a little tricky. Duanmu Qingtian's face was red, and his veins were bulging. Among the 3 of them, his cultivation was the highest, but he was also the most injured. During the battle with the wild owl and the Long family had attacked him. The golden dragon aura had penetrated deep into his meridians and organs. Even now there were still aftereffects. You step back. I'll block them. You and Su Yi find a way to break this golden dragon blood formation. Duanmu Xiaoman scolded. Her feet moved, and the white light spots all over her body turned into countless small ice luans that rushed toward the light net. Rumble! The sound of collision resounded through heaven and earth. The sharp screeches turned into terrifying azure pressure that pervaded the light net. Chi! Chi! The area of the light net was still shrinking. Duanmu Qingtian immediately turned to Su Yi and asked softly, "Is there a solution in the ancestral dragon medicine scripture?" At that moment, Su Yi quickly went through the information in the scripture in his mind. He immediately understood that the golden dragon blood formation before him was formed purely by blood essence. There were no flaws. They could only rely on brute force to break it. "We can only attack by force," Su Yi muttered. Then, Su Yi shouted at Duanmu Xiaoman, who was in front of him. "Xiaoman, summon the divine sky cauldron. I'll use the golden dragon blood essence to activate it. With the protection of the dragon soul, there shouldn't be any loss." Although Su Yi was currently consuming his golden dragon blood essence, he had 3 wisps of golden dragon soul protecting him. Compared to the Long family powerhouses in the outside world, his blood essence could still be replenished. Within the limited time of burning his blood essence, the only thing that could forcefully break through the enemy was the heaven-controlling divine cauldron. "All right." Taking a deep breath, Duanmu Xiaoman's figure drifted backward. A mysterious light flashed in her hand, and a black iron-like light instantly appeared in front of her. Without any delay, a golden dragon aura shot out from Su Yi's forehead. He pushed his hands forward, and the violent golden energy around him instantly activated the black cauldron. As he chanted the art of driving the heavens, he also activated the primordial chaos supreme art to protect his heart meridians. Amidst the dense white light, the driving the heavens divine cauldron rapidly exploded. Roar! Subsequently, a vigorous primordial azure dragon's remnant soul broke through the heavens and the earth, and the lifelike 3,000-meter-long golden dragon suddenly blasted a large hole in the light net. The sharp and murderous aura of the golden dragon was incomparably domineering, and it quickly dazzled the entire sky with a golden light. Under the surging of the galaxy, the remnant soul with Su-yi as the center swam in all directions, quickly dispersing the formation formed by the dozens of elders. Before the elders could react, the huge soaring golden dragon revealed a roaring golden light, shattering the space one by one. Immediately after, dozens of figures turned into cannonballs and shot backward. Blood sprayed out, and their faces were incomparably haggard. Bam! At the same time, the net of light exploded, and the sonic boom that shot into the sky turned into muffled thunder that resounded in all directions. The spurting blood light spilled onto the ground, forming an incomparably terrifying river of blood. Everyone who was lying on the ground with pale faces trembling in fear. Looking at this sinister and tyrannical killing intent, they all felt a chill spread from the bottom of their hearts, and their souls trembled along with it. In front of him, the divine cauldron rotated, emitting a golden halo of light. There were also 3 golden dragon patterns on the cauldron, covering it in divine light. Su-yi, who was controlling the divine cauldron, slowly walked forward, walking in front of the elders, his gaze sunk, incomparably cold. "Kid, what are you doing? You dare to kill me?" An elder roared, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Buzz buzz! The corner of Su-yi's mouth curled up. Immediately, the golden dragon above his head flashed. The light was dazzling, and looking at the Long family elders who did not understand the situation, a wave of killing intent suddenly condensed. "I said before, once you go to the Long family, no one will be left alive. You dare, brat, you dare to kill me. How dare you? I am the supreme elder of the Long family. I'm going to fight it out with you." With a glance, the death of these elders was already a foregone conclusion. Su-yi immediately resisted the rapid loss of primordial qi in the great void divine sea. Once again, he activated the divine cauldron. The golden dragon flying in the sky opened its mouth and roared. Suddenly, a light burst out, aiming at the dozens of experts and elders below, preparing to kill them. Ah! At this moment, a shrill sound came out from behind him. Immediately, a large amount of black fog spread out from the surrounding sky, and countless black shadows flew up from the broken ground. Hee! Sounds like the screams of thousands of ghosts could be heard. Instantly, thousands of strange martial artists appeared in the black fog. Their eyes were empty, and they were numb like walking corpses. What is this? How can the Long family have these things? These are. Oh my God, how can the Golden Dragon family have such filthy and smelly things? Where is the Dragon God? Let him out to explain. Hearing the elders roar, Su-yi immediately stopped the surging aura of the Golden Dragon in his hand. Turning his head, he saw that Duanmu Xiaoman had already started to fight with the black fog, and Duanmu Qingtian's legs and feet were entangled by the black fog. It was like a tarsal body wrapped around Duanmu Qingtian's body, crazily gnawing at it. "Xiaoman, master!" Su-yi turned pale with fright. He quickly activated the giant cauldron in his hand, and a shrill laugh came from the black fog around Duanmu Qingtian's body. The face that seemed to have solidified revealed its true appearance, and the shriveled face that looked like a skeleton made one's heart turn cold. Immediately, Su-yi's heart skipped a beat. The person in front of him was none other than the person who escaped from his hands that day, Yun Lingfeng. "Su-yi, give me back my sword, give me back my sword." With a pair of empty eyes, Yun Lingfeng, who had almost lost his mind, had already become a death warrior. He wrapped around Duanmu Qingtian's body with incomparable resentment. "Su-yi, don't worry about me. these are all demonic creatures. The Long family actually colluded with demonic creatures. Today, all of you will die. Duanmu Qingtian frowned. His half-step sky origin stage 5 cultivation surged again, and Yunlingfeng, who was scattered like smoke, instantly roared and flashed back to the ground. Whoosh! Whoosh! Seizing the opportunity, Duanmu Qingtian and Duanmu Xiaoman quickly returned to Su Yi's side. Duanmu Xiaoman's beautiful face flickered as she stared at Duanmu Qingtian. She saw that the part of his body that was bitten by Yunlingfeng had already started to turn black, and his skin and flesh were flipped open. The stench was incomparable. Qingtian, let me help you, Duanmu Xiaoman said anxiously as her misty eyes rippled. Duanmu Qingtian furrowed his brows, obviously feeling extremely uncomfortable. He waved his hand, took 2 steps back, and said softly, "No, I've seen these demonic creatures in the outer realm before. I can't touch them, sister." Chapter 2460. Then what should we do? The helpless Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes were filled with tears. Demonic creatures are not to be trifled with. Instantly, the siblings looked towards Su Yi, whose blood essence had already dissipated. The giant cauldron once again fell to the ground. Ding! When the cauldron landed, it instantly lit up with a bright light. The energy wind spread out. Su Yi looked around and was once again surrounded by black shadows. Looking at the demonized Long family members, Su Yi instantly confirmed one thing. The tragedy in Kanglan City and Qi Nu's injuries were all caused by Yunlingfeng's demonized dragon army. Damn it, what are these things? When did these things appear in our Long family? In the distance, the elders of the Long family also looked solemn. They were extremely shocked as they looked at the demonized dragon army. Ah! At this moment, a laugh came from the sky. It was sinister and sharp, filled with ruthless ridicule and arrogance. Su Yi, who was filled with hatred and anger, slowly raised his head. He saw Long Tsang standing with his hands behind his back. There was a faint black mark between his brows, and a wild smile flashed across his eyes. "How is it, Su Yi? Do you like the gift I prepared for you?" Spreading his hands, Long Tsang, who was in the sky, stared at Su Yi and Yu Tian with resentment in his eyes. He revealed a look of pity. "I wanted to play with you, but what a pity! You had to make me use my last move." Immediately, Su Yi's body surged with unparalleled anger. The primordial chaos supreme technique was completely activated. Instantly, his aura soared as he shouted, "Long Tsang, if you don't die today, I, Su Yi, will not forgive you even if I die 1,000 times." "Very good." Long Tsang nodded. His eyes narrowed, and a hunched figure gradually appeared beside him. He said softly, "Yunlingfeng, bring your demon dragon army and kill all these people." Wait. The elders of the Long family looked at the strange and sinister Long family army around them. All sorts of discussions could be heard. An elder looked at Long Tsang in the sky and questioned angrily, "Young master, please tell me what these are." "Yes. Why hasn't the dragon god come out yet? Us old bones are not protecting these pretentious people." "Young master, our Long family's bloodline is so noble, why must we fall into the demonic path? What exactly is the dragon god cultivating in seclusion? Could it be a demonic art as well?" "Enough!" The corner of Long Tsang's mouth trembled immediately. Black lines danced within his scarlet eyes as he furiously cried out to the elders. "What do you know? It's you stubborn old things who think your bloodline is noble. Now, even an outer realm old fellow can control my father. What the Long family wanted was not the bloodline. It was power. It's the supreme martial power." As soon as he finished speaking, the elders all felt their hearts ache as they looked at the Long family that was no longer the same as before. They beat their chests and stomped their feet. Cries and shouts filled the air. The Long family's bloodline, which they thought was glorious and arrogant, had colluded with demons. How could they talk about nobility? Worse than mud, this was abandoning oneself, this was discrediting the ancestors of the Long family. In the sky, Long Tsang raised his head as if he had smelled the scent of victory. The corner of his mouth curled into a satisfied smile. Suddenly, Long Tsang opened his eyes and a black ray of light shot up to the sky. Yun Lingfeng, who was beside him, had come back to life. Yun Lingfeng shouted as the shrill screams of ghosts resounded through the sky. Instantly, Yin Qi filled the air. Tens of thousands of strengthened demon dragon army turned the entire dragon palace into hell. Hiss! Smoke filled the air as the black demon dragon army charged towards Su Yi and the rest. What was even more unexpected was that dozens of elders from the Long family stood in front of Su Yi and the rest. All of you. Su Yi's eyes were bloodshot as he gloomily looked at the severely injured elders in front of him. One of the elders from the Long family trembled as he turned around. His eyes were bloodshot as he choked and said, "Young man, you're right. We don't understand the current Long family anymore. The Long family must become the #1 family in the Sky Barbarians, but we can't fall into the demon Dao." Qi La. In an instant, dozens of elders smiled as they made up their minds to die. At the last moment, vast amounts of vital qi rushed out and blasted into the sky. They are opening the space restriction spell of the Heavenly Palace, Duanmu Xiaoman exclaimed. They would rather die than lose their faith and glory. As soon as Duanmu Xiaoman finished speaking, the screams of the demon dragon army stopped. With a thunderous sound, hundreds of dazzling golden dragons exploded and an invisible space membrane exploded. Rumble! In less than a second, Yun Zhongli, Ling Qianxue, and the rest, who had been waiting outside, rushed into the Heavenly Palace. Roar! Like a tide, the myriad Sword Alliance, Thunderfire Holy Hall, Tianlan Sea City, Yutian Palace, and the rest, who had already won the battle, rushed into the Heavenly Palace. Shenzhen Gate, Sacred Mountain, and Taiqing Sect were dealing with the aftermath near the Dragon Stairs. Soon, Yan Mietian, Yi Degushan, and the rest stood together with Yun Zhongli and the rest. As soon as they entered the Heavenly Palace, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. The gloomy and ferocious demon dragon army had refreshed their worldview. Holy **T. What are these things? Draconis is raising these things. The Long family is really despicable. Today we must exterminate the Long clan, not leaving a single blade of grass behind. Yan Mietian, Long Pashan, and the rest were the loudest. Looking at the demon dragon army, everyone's faces were filled with disgust and fear. Long Tsang, who was in the sky, was furious. He did not expect that his own Grand Elder would help outsiders open the space restriction spell of the Heavenly Palace. Black runes surged all over his body, and a cold black light covered the entire sky. Suddenly, the tens of thousands of demon dragon army turned into clouds and moved. Kill! Kill them all! Today, none of you are allowed to leave. All of you must die. Long Tsang, who was shocked and furious, shouted as if he had fallen into madness. Bang! At this moment, dozens of elders in front of Su Yi fell down one after another. Looking at these elders who had done their best for the Long family, Su Yi sighed. Naturally, Su Yi did not have a good impression of them. However, these people had done a good deed before they died, so they still looked solemn. Be careful! Duanmu Xiaoman shouted. She quickly activated the power of the Ice Luan, and the wind and snow dispersed the black shadows in the sky. She shouted at Su Yi. Ka. Countless soul-stirring sounds came from the ground. At this moment, the elders of the Long family were surrounded by the demon dragon army. The elders who were still warm withered like trees that had been sucked dry. The skin of dozens of elders of the Long family turned black, and their hollow eyes were filled with hatred and resentment. Chapter 2461. Let's go. It was not wise to stay here for long. The three of them who were surrounded by the demon dragon army quickly met up with the rest of the army. Sui looked around. Almost all the experts from the top forces of Heaven Barbarian Continent had gathered here. Tunton and Lu Ruashi were leading a large group of people in the distance. Merciless West, Chi Feihong, and the rest did not slow down either. Su Yi's fighting spirit surged in his heart. Come. Charge. Today, leave no one from the Long family alive. Yes. Everyone present shouted as they looked at the black demon dragon army in front of them. Their eyes were filled with seriousness. The final battle had finally arrived. Destroy the Long family and block the path to godhood. All the blood and hatred in the past would be settled in this dark heaven palace. Roar. Roar. Beastly roars filled the sky. Outside the heaven palace's restriction, a desolate scene spread out. The dark sky was instantly replaced by demonic light. At this moment, all the fighting forces had gathered near the heaven palace. No one had expected that under Su Yi's lead, they would be able to kill their way to the Long family and take revenge with their own hands. High in the sky, Merciless West and Chi Feihong's eyes glowed with golden light. Their fighting spirit was condensed. The soaring serpents under their feet roared. Great demons roared as they rushed toward the heaven palace at their fastest speed. Quick, everyone is at the last moment. Help the proud king to become a god. Kill Draconis. Return peace to Heaven Barbarian Continent. Roar. Great demons flew all over the mountains and plains. Countless martial artists rushed toward the heaven palace. There were many martial artists who changed sides at the last moment. At this moment, within the heavenly palace, Su Yi was leading a few aristocratic families and the heavenly palace into the demon dragon army. The sounds of battle were incessant, and the terrifying sonic booms directly blew up the shattered heavenly palace. The Long family's elders who had been demonized had also joined the battle. They were like rotting corpses. Their mouths were open, and black gas kept flowing out. Bang bang bang! Su Yi, whose eyes had turned red from all the killing, smirked. He swung the blood demon killing god sword so tightly that it was impenetrable. The unparalleled sword will spread out and tore a few demon dragon army soldiers into pieces. Su Yi's figure changed. He stepped into the air and seized the opportunity to turn into a wisp of light. He quickly headed in Long Tsang's direction. Although he did not know how Long Tsang was able to mobilize so many demon dragon army soldiers, everything would stop as long as he killed Long Tsang. Bang! In the distance, Long Tsang's eyes were filled with disdain when he saw Su Yi charging over. With a wave of his left hand, black energy condensed in front of him, and a huge spatial vortex rapidly formed. Clang! The heavenly wind sword wave pressed down from the sky and was rapidly fused into the spatial whirlpool. The surrounding space twisted and swayed like a dark swamp, and a black figure crawled out from it. It was Yun Lingfeng. He held his black sword in front of him and blocked Su Yi's attack. The two of them separated as soon as they came into contact. A long black mark quickly spread on Su Yi's arm. After a slight sting, it quickly disappeared. Staring at the terrifying Yun Lingfeng in front of him, Su Yi's heart was heavy. He moved the blood demon killing god sword slightly and his aura shot up to the sky again. It was like a pillar of air that pushed away the damp and rotten smell in the air. Yun Lingfeng, if your master saw you like this, he would be heartbroken, Su Yi said coldly. In front of him, Yun Lingfeng's body was half bent. The corner of his mouth cracked open and his black fangs shone with a terrifying light. He quickly roared at Su Yi. Return the sword to me. Return the sword to me. Su Yi immediately shook his head. Long Tsang's mournful voice instantly resounded in the area. Long Tsang said, Su Yi, what's the difference between you and Yun Lingfeng? Everyone is the same. It's just that he chose the way he wanted. Yes, but this is not the ending he should have. Long Tsang, you've done a lot of evil. Today you've brought the devil down to earth. I'll follow great ancestor Shin Jian's example, and cleanse the evil bandits, and return the light to Tianman. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yi put away the blood demon killing god sword. A bright starlight flickered and streaked across the sky. It was dazzling and flawless. The heavenly star thriller, which had not been used for a long time, appeared in the world. The demonic purple light revealed a huge amount of energy that made people's hearts tremble. Yunling Feng seemed to be naturally afraid of the heavenly star thriller. He roared and wanted to escape, but he was stopped by another weapon summoned by Su Yi. Awo! As soon as the red dragon appeared, tens of thousands of soldiers were subdued. The golden red dragon divine weapon appeared in the world. The tyrannical dragon power spread out from its body and shone in front of Su Yi with a huge power that no one could compete with. My sword, my sword! As if he had seen his beloved treasure, Yunling Feng wanted to touch the red dragon with great eagerness. However, he heard a crisp sound. The heavenly star thriller streaked across the sky, wrapped in an extreme energy light. The power of the stars was dazzling in the sky. As Su Yi activated the heavenly wind sword will, the blade with mysterious patterns lingering on it spread out a vast and endless energy. The heavenly star thriller, a generation of demonic creatures, suddenly broke into two. Ding! The hilt and body of the sword fell apart. Yunling Feng screamed and quickly tried to grab the heavenly star thriller that had fallen. Looking at Yunling Feng, who was chasing after him, Su Yi sighed in his heart. He originally wanted to refine the demonic sword before entering the Endless Sword Mountain. He didn't expect that he would comprehend the Heavenly Wind Sword Will. Today, he used the Heavenly Wind Sword Will to break the demonic sword. It was also a kind of heaven's will. The world is full of reincarnation. Who will the heavens spare? Instantly, Su Yi wielded Heavenly Star Soul Shock, and his entire person was also instantly immersed in a kind of mystical state. In the vast space, a resplendent galaxy light mark appeared. Long Tsang, it's your fate that you didn't die in the Heavenly Wind battle. It's also your fate that you died in my hands today. Die. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yi looked at the panicking Long Tsang. Light flashed under his feet, and the faintly discernible starlight swayed. He quickly drew a perfect arc in the sky. Boom! In the void, without Yunling Feng's protection, Long Tsang suddenly panicked and hurriedly ran into the Sky Palace. The galaxy flowed, and the unparalleled sword will behind him followed like a shadow. The powerful sword wave rushed behind Long Tsang like a tide. Boom! In an instant, an earth-shattering sound reverberated. Countless stars quickly exploded in the sky. The sword wave rolled and large clouds drifted away. In the midst of the golden light that filled the sky, Su Yi was also quickly thrown back thousands of meters because of the huge shock wave. Immediately, blood spurted out, and his face was extremely pale. Su Yi, Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qintian, Yun Zhongli, and a group of experts quickly rushed behind Su Yi. When they looked up, they saw a domineering figure standing above the Sky Palace with his hands behind his back. The person was outlined by a deep black arc in the sky, and the dazzling golden light was blooming with dazzling brilliance. Vaguely, they could see an incomparably huge golden dragon's shadow surging in the sky. The shadow was violent, and it emitted a powerful aura that made people's souls tremble. Chapter 2462. Draconis. Su Yi's face changed as he stared at the figure in the distance with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. In that instant, Su Yi felt as if his internal organs had been struck. At this moment, his meridians and flesh were trembling and contracting. It was extremely uncomfortable. Even though he was thousands of meters away from Draconis, he could still feel the enormous pressure from Draconis. It was as if he could destroy the world. Suddenly, the whole place fell silent. In the sky, a series of explosions resounded like thunder, and a dazzling shock wave flashed past. Everyone who saw this scene looked up at the sky. Because of Draconis's appearance, the heavenly palace's restrictions that the Long family's elders had worked so hard to open were closed once again. Outside the restrictions, a group of beasts roared. Countless martial artists revealed ferocious expressions. They wanted to enter the heavenly palace and fight side by side with Sui. The excited martial artists and demonic beasts continued to attack the restrictions. They were extremely emotional. Suddenly, the energy that hit the space restrictions dissipated in the void. A large space ripple spread out, but it was still useless. The restrictions set by Draconis were far beyond their cultivation level. The sound of the explosions was soon isolated. Merciless West, Chi Feihong, and the others were only a few feet away from Sui, but they could only stand outside the heavenly palace. Inside the heavenly palace, everyone's cold eyes fell on Draconis in the distance. They raised their eyebrows and looked at the cold figure in the distance with fear in their hearts. Has this guy already become a god? Yen Mietian gasped and said embarrassedly. Sui took a deep breath and endured the pain in his internal organs. He quickly swallowed 3 bottles of spiritual liquid. Then, he quickly formed a hand seal and spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Draconis in the distance with a serious expression. Draconis in front of him had a demonic look in his eyes, and his whole body was emitting a gloomy aura. The gigantic soaring golden dragon behind him shone with a golden light, and its faint technical scales exuded a soul-stirring black energy and immense pressure. No, he hasn't become a god yet, but his aura is too powerful. He is infinitely close to becoming a god. In the whole place, only Duanmu Qintian had reached Yuan Tian's stage before. At this time, his eyes were gloomy, and his voice was filled with caution. Hearing this, everyone present also gasped. Infinitely close to becoming a god, how domineering was this? One had to know that every stage of the half-step Yuan Tian stage was extremely difficult. The half-step Yuan Tian realm was like a natural chasm, but Long Xiang was already extremely close to it. Instantly, all the powerhouses' hearts and their bodies filled with coldness. Within the vast heavenly palace, the sky was dark and gloomy. Only the demonic dragon army was crawling on the ground. They opened their hollow eyes and looked at the sky numbly. Tens of thousands of demonic dragon army members were whimpering, and their bodies were stiff like machines. Their bodies were extremely stiff, and their dry hands were pointing at Yun Lingfeng. At this time, Yun Lingfeng was shaking his head crazily. His black arms were stroking his beloved red dragon, and he murmured, "Sword! My sword, you are finally back. You are mine, and no one can take you away from me." Like a child looking at his favorite toy, Yun Lingfeng's terrifying face had a trace of greed and thirst, and his eyes were intoxicated. On the other side, Long Tsang, who saw his father coming out of the heavenly palace, was trembling all over. His face was filled with respect, and his tone was almost humble. "Father, you are out." Draconis scanned the place carefully. A trace of viciousness flashed past his narrow eyes, and a thin and mysterious black pattern appeared at the corner of his eyes. Then, he looked at Long Tsang. He opened his eyes slightly, and a huge pressure, like a black dragon's roar, quickly enveloped Long Tsang. Long Tsang immediately crawled on the ground, and his face was filled with pain. He fell under Draconis's feet as if his heart was being eaten by thousands of worms. "Father, I was wrong. Draconis didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. He stared at Long Tsang for a total of 3 seconds, and then he said coldly, "What did you do wrong?" Fierce soul energy swept out. His voice was soft, but it had a strong domineering aura that no one could refuse. After a while, Long Tsang, who was slowly getting better, trembled and wiped away the huge beads of sweat. He said in a trembling voice, "I shouldn't have cultivated the demonic dragon army without permission. Do you think you can command the Long family as you wish?" Draconis raised his eyebrows, and his pitch-black eyes were filled with coldness. Long Tsang slowly raised his eyes and looked at the familiar face. A black light pattern flashed in front of his eyes, and he was immediately suppressed like a mountain. "I was wrong. I shouldn't have used the Long family as a test subject, and I shouldn't have demonized the elders. Father, no, Lord Dragon God, please spare me." Long Tsang's words were filled with pain. Although Su-Yi and the rest were far away, they were shocked when they heard it. In front of Draconis, the father-son relationship and moral rules were nothing compared to the supreme power of martial arts. Su-Yi narrowed his eyes and looked at Draconis, who was far away. He said softly, "This guy still doesn't understand his father." After answering, Long Tsang charged toward Yun Lingfeng like a cannonball. A black and gold smoke streaked across the sky. Draconis was like a god overlooking the world under the cover of the golden dragon. "Idiot! You were stupid because you shouldn't have cultivated the god-slaying demonic technique," Draconis roared. His pitch-black eyes were filled with blood-red patterns, and they were extremely red. Suddenly, Long Tsang was stunned. Yun Lingfeng also woke up from his stupor. He knelt before the dragon god and trembled. Both of their souls had completely collapsed in front of the powerful aura. Long Tsang cried bitterly and begged for mercy. "Yes, Lord Dragon God. I lost my mind for a moment, and that's why I was tempted by the wild owl. I didn't. I never thought of replacing you." The violent energy of heaven and earth instantly condensed in front of Draconis. The black golden dragon stirred up the wind and clouds. Under the mighty aura, the space quickly began to shatter. Countless space ripples appeared in the storm that was shining with electric arcs. Whoosh, whoosh. Wind and thunder filled the air, and the Milky Way reversed. The ferocious airflow swept across the sky like a murderous god. Heaven and earth fell into darkness again in an instant. The murderous aura made everyone tremble in fear. What's this powerful airflow trying to do? Is this guy going to kill his own son? Draconis must be crazy. He must have gone mad from his cultivation. Cold air filled the air. A terrifying light shot up into the sky. The bleak atmosphere was like a devil's tentacles strangling everyone's throats. Chapter 2463. Looking at the scene in front of them, even Yen Mietian, Yi, and the others couldn't close their mouths for a long time. No. Wild Owl is right. After all, people can't break through the shackles with their own strength. But fortunately, he left a fortune for my son. In the violent airflow, the gloomy voice surged violently in the space fluctuation. Draconis' strength at the peak of half-step Yuan Tian had completely erupted. The fiendish aura spread across the sky as if it came from a 1,000-year-old ice pool. Sui couldn't help but tremble. He felt as if his internal organs, blood, and meridians were about to be scraped away. Then, the hoarse and gloomy voice of Long Tsang came into everyone's ears. "I'm your son, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hee. The red dragon is back, the red dragon is back. I'm going to kill Sui, I'm going to kill Sui." Yun Lingfeng was immersed in his own world again. As the two voices fell, the indifferent Draconis looked up to the sky and roared painfully. The murderous aura fluctuated and the world fell into darkness. Forefather's path to becoming a god, give your life. The path of glory of the heavenly palace will be more dazzling because of your blood. Boom! Draconis' hands shot out a black and gold cold air, hitting Draconis and Yun Lingfeng respectively. The huge black dragon aura was like a leech that instantly devoured the blood essence of the two people. In the whistling wind, the two young men instantly shriveled and turned into a cloud of black smoke floating in the air. Whoosh! Two pieces of torn clothes fluttered in the wind. Then, two black light pillars floated out from the clothes. The blood patterns lingered, revealing the essence of life. Come on. Help me become a god. Let me take the last step on the path to becoming a god. Draconis's black hands trembled as he reached out and grabbed the two black essence soul pearls. His deep eyes were filled with passion. Bang bang! The moment it touched the soul orb, heaven and earth instantly fell into a bottomless black hole. Only faint golden dragon patterns shone in the sky, and the gloomy cold air became denser and denser. Not good. At this moment, Su-Yi and the Duanmu siblings were the first to break free from the huge pressure of Draconis's seclusion. Then, everyone else broke free and roared in the air like drowning people. F***CK. This guy is going to become a god by devouring his son's devil body. Stop him. I can't let him become a god. Otherwise, everything will be too late. Su-Yi Palace Master, let's go. Once Draconis becomes a god, the Sky Barbarian realm will become the ruins of the apocalypse. Whoosh! In his haste, Su-Yi turned his gaze. Duanmu Xiaoman and Duanmu Qintian beside him stepped on flowing light and flew away as fast as they could. Bang bang bang! In an instant, Yan Mietian, Yi, and everyone from the Imperial Palace tore the cold air apart and flew towards Draconis. Seeing that Draconis had already devoured an essence soul orb, everyone's hearts were in their throats. At this moment, Su-Yi and the Duanmu siblings were infinitely close to Draconis. Heavenly Wind Sword Will. Thousand Frost Snow Seal, Ice Phoenix Star Move. Infinite Cosmic Art, Three Swords of Eternity. Three powerful airwaves shot up into the sky and broke through the dense cold air. Three rays of light rushed towards Draconis. Roar! Seeing that everyone was charging towards him, Draconis was still digesting the first essence soul orb. The one that was refined by Yunlingfeng was still in his hand. Looking at Su-Yi and the rest evilly, Draconis laughed. His laughter was incomparably arrogant and wild. After laughing, Draconis waved his right hand lightly, and the huge golden black dragon opened its bloody mouth. A huge shockwave mixed with killing intent rushed out, and a pitch-black space crack appeared in an instant. The space at the edge collapsed inch by inch. Light filled the sky, and the incomparably huge golden black dragon spread across the horizon, occupying the entire sky in an instant. Above the void, the huge dragon's scarlet head was dazzling. The shockwave and the torrential aura from its four claws instantly caused everyone to fly backwards. Poochie! The energy waves shot out by Su-Yi and the Duanmu siblings disappeared in an instant, and the aura of the golden dragon annihilated everything. Bang bang! No one knew what they had experienced. Their bodies were no longer under their control, and their leaf-like bodies twisted and turned in the tornado. After hundreds of heavy sonic booms, Yan Mietian, Yi Guiyue, and the rest of the people were all smashed into the ground. Countless deep craters appeared on the ground, and it was a shocking sight. At the same time, Su-Yi was also smashed into the ground, and the space crack spread out like a spider web. Su-Yi, who was trembling and trying to stand up, was covered in dense cracks. Puff! A large amount of blood splashed into the sky. Su-Yi was holding the heavenly star shock in his hand, and half kneeling on the ground. His face was pale, and he looked extremely miserable. Su-Yi. On the other side, Duanmu Xiaoman and Duanmu Qingtian's faces were also filled with pain. The difference between them and Draconis was like the difference between clouds and mud. While supporting the trembling Su-Yi, Duanmu Xiaoman's face changed slightly, and she asked softly, "Are you okay?" Her eyes were filled with concern. Su-Yi slowly shook his head and looked into his mind. His divine profound spirit meridians were almost broken, and his internal organs felt like they were being stirred up. If it weren't for the fact that they were facing a powerful enemy, Su-yi really wanted to find a place to heal himself. Gently pressing his hand on Duanmu Xiaoman's body, Su-yi knew that compared to him, Yan Mietian and the others' injuries were much more serious. He had the golden dragon body and the mixed yuan monster body. Even with the diamond body, his injuries were already so serious. However, the people behind him didn't have such a strong body. Without even looking back, he knew how serious their injuries were. "How are you guys?" Su-yi asked Duanmu Xiaoman. He looked at Draconis, who was refining the first essence soul pearl in the storm, and his eyes were filled with seriousness. Duanmu Xiaoman's ice spirit shield had also fallen to the ground. Duanmu Qintian, who was struggling to get up, said softly, "Although this guy hasn't reached Yuan Tian yet, he is definitely stronger than me. It should be related to the god-slaying demon attracting secret technique that he cultivates." "What kind of secret technique is that?" Duanmu Xiaoman coughed lightly, and blood immediately gushed out of her body. Instantly, Su-yi raised his eyebrows and said softly, "That's the peerless martial art of the extraterritorial demon god. It should be a transaction between the wild owl and Draconis." Hearing that it was another extraterritorial demon god, Duanmu Xiaoman's heart was in turmoil. At the same time, Su-yi, who was beside her, was surrounded by golden soul rings again. "Ai! You!" Duanmu Xiaoman screamed. She instantly understood that Su-yi was burning the Emperor Sparrow's blood essence in his body again. Not to mention that the Emperor Sparrow's blood essence couldn't be recovered. Burning it twice in a row was a huge test for the body. With misty eyes, Duanmu Xiaoman looked at Su-yi's skinny back that was covered by the divine fire, and tears instantly flowed down her face. The hundreds of experts behind her also stood up. They, who no longer had the ability to fight, could only watch as Su-yi walked towards Draconis. Chapter 2464. Rather than saying that they were walking towards Draconis, they were walking towards the abyss of death. Yun Zhongli, Ling Qianxue, and the others rushed to Duanmu Xiaoman's side. Their broken skin peeled off like tiles as they stared at Su-yi, who was moving slowly. Everyone began to sob softly. They couldn't stop Draconis from becoming a god, and they couldn't stop Su-yi from walking towards the faith in their hearts. Su-yi was the only one who could fight. Even the Duanmu siblings knew that only Su-yi, who understood the god-slaying demon summoning technique, could solve Sky Barbarian's biggest crisis. Oh! Bang! 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 Outside the spatial seal, a large number of demonic beasts let out mournful cries before their death. Merciless West, Qi Feihong, and even Lu Ruoxi and Su Jingyuan were crying. "Su-yi, don't go. Master, let's not fight anymore. Let's go back. Don't do anything stupid." The crowd was agitated. Tears of anger rolled down their cheeks and condensed in their eyes. Thousands of figures surrounded the spatial seal, but no matter how hard they tried, no one could open the spatial seal. Everyone present was angry. They were angry at their own incompetence. They hated that they could only watch Su-yi fight for the last bit of hope. Woo woo woo. Heaven and earth were sorrowful, and the ages were crying. Inside and outside the spatial seal, the cries converged into a sea of sorrow. Even Duanmu Xiaoman, who was always cold, clenched her fists and 2 streams of tears flowed down her cheek. "Sister, you." Feeling Duanmu Xiaoman's sorrow, Duanmu Qintian, who was panting heavily, turned around. Duanmu Xiaoman's tears were red. This was extreme sorrow. I'll be with you soon," Duanmu Xiaoman said softly as she looked in the direction where Su-yi left. Amidst the storm, Su-yi's divine fire enveloped his body. As the only person who still had the strength to fight, every step he took was abnormally firm and heavy. He kept thinking about everything he had experienced in the past few years in the Sky Barbarian realm. It was like a dream. In the sky barbarian lands, he had parents, a family, and a lover. Here, he had traversed mountains and rivers, chased after his dreams. His heart had once struggled painfully, but it had also been free and unrestrained. He had been discriminated against, and the affairs of the world were unpredictable. He had once repaid his debts and reached the peak of the Heaven Berserker realm, becoming the Emperor of Heaven's chosen. Perhaps this moment would be the end. At that time, Sui would have no regrets in his heart. Standing in front of the golden dragon storm, Sui turned his head, the corners of his mouth gently forming a warm arc. Regardless of life or death, I am proud of all of you. Sui's voice came out from his throat. Today they had fought side by side. Draconis' strength was beyond everyone's imagination. It was far from what the sky barbarians could resist. However, Sui had no regrets in his heart. From the chaotic battle in the 6 continents, 3 continents and 1 ocean, to the battle of the Dragon Staircase, to the battleship Cat races thousands of miles of assistance. Facing the Lord of Tyranny, Sui did not abandon him. The power behind him did not give up either. That was enough. Suddenly, the wild battle intent condensed again. The entire place roared like thunder. Tears and blood became embellishments in the Sky Palace. Everyone raised their arms and shouted, Sui, regardless of life or death, we are proud of all of you. This was an unprecedented unity. It was the call of the people's hearts. It was the challenge of the weak, glowing worms to the sun and moon. Even if they were like moths to a flame, they still bravely moved forward. The victory song of life hung high in the sky. Bang, bang, bang! Outside the spatial restriction, the roaring sound once again swept over like a tidal wave. It was a very rhythmic hammering sound. It was the resonance of tens of millions of cultivators and demonic beasts. Bang! 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 With the first sound, tears gushed out like a fountain. With the second sound, grief and indignation mixed together. With the third sound, life danced together. Sui raised his head and looked at the densely packed figures in the sky. All kinds of resplendent resentment surged in the air. Regardless of whether it was martial artists or demonic beasts, their mouths were all the same. We are proud of you. This was the call in the hearts of everyone present. Forcefully holding back the tears in his heart, Sui raised his chin. Even in the face of the most powerful enemy, Sui still had to face it with pride. Everyone, help me in! Sui shouted loudly. As soon as his voice fell, everyone cheered. Even if they were riddled with injuries, the hundreds of Super Supremes did not have any scruples at this moment. Boom! In an instant, an incomparably ferocious soul force roared out. A huge pillar of light shrouded Sui. In an instant, Sui's body glowed with divine flames, as though a god had descended. Raising his eyes, 2 resplendent flames flashed in front of his eyes. Sui's heart burned with a fiery battle intent. Come on, Draconis. If you don't try, how do you know you won't lose? With a roar, Sui instantly felt a huge warm current rushing into his great void divine ocean. The dried-up divine ocean started to rotate rapidly. Soon, his meridians started to glow with vitality. Bang bang! One by one, the hidden entrances started to activate unprecedented energy. At this moment, Sui did not have the time to care about the eruption of the hidden entrances. Lightly tapping his feet in the air, Sui was like a ray of light arrow shining in the sky. Chi-la! In the blink of an eye, the golden dragon's sky-piercing finger was executed. The golden dragon drew a mysterious arc in the sky. Sui turned into a ray of light and rushed into the golden dragon's storm. Within the storm, the gloomy cold air became even more violent. The endless golden dragon energy seemed to want to swallow Sui whole. Under the intense distortion of space, Sui executed the Fuyao 100 transformation step. It was as though he was practicing his movement technique in the Three Ravens region. He constantly dodged the attack of the black gold dragon. Boom boom! In the terrifying storm, Draconis sat in the void with his legs crossed. The second essence origin spirit pearl in front of him was shining brightly. The black energy around him was getting stronger. Roar! The black gold demonic dragon that was separated from Draconis' body could not catch Su-Yi for a long time. It instantly released a ferocious and wild energy. It was like a grain of rice in front of the huge dragon in the courtyard. It was too weak. All of a sudden, when the shockwave landed in front of Su-Yi, everyone in the crowd gasped in shock and fear. "Be careful!" Duanmu Xiaoman shouted. She fell backward and almost collapsed. Fortunately, Duanmu Qintian caught her. "What is that? Why is there a crack in the storm?" Yan Mietian was shocked and shouted to the sky. "Sister, look!" Duanmu Qintian injected his vital energy into Duanmu Xiaoman and whispered. Immediately, everyone looked at the sky and sucked in a breath of cold air. In the storm, there was a huge fiery red crack across the sky. In the crack, a sacred and domineering eye flashed and rushed out of the crack in an instant. Flames spread out and formed a sea of fire in the sky like a divine chain. The vast sky above the heaven palace exploded. The fiery energy formed a fiery vortex in the sky. Bright divine flames scattered across the sky. Huge fireballs and light spots fell like a storm. Instantly, the black gold demonic dragon roared loudly, and its huge body shrunk instantly. Chapter 2465. Su-Yi hovered in midair with a divine halo around him. He looked at the horizon and saw a short, fat figure flying out of the endless sea of fire. "Boss, I'm here to help you." Su-Yi finally knew who it was when he heard the childish voice. "Little Handsome." Su-Yi was overjoyed and shouted at Little Handsome, who was in the divine flame. He didn't expect that he would forget about Little Handsome Su at the last moment. Outside the restriction, Merciless West, Yenlin, Su Chen, and the others also saw Little Handsome Su and Su-Yi reunite. Their eyes were brimming with tears, and they were filled with pride. Suddenly, the chubby Little Handsome smiled. Flames shot out from his body, and he jumped down from the sky to Su-Yi's side. Looking at Su-Yi's miserable state, Little Handsome Su's chubby face was filled with self-blame and guilt. He immediately shouted at the black gold demon dragon. "Damn it, you stinky worm! How dare you hurt my boss? Today, I'll skin you alive!" In the distance, the golden dragon cowered in fear. In terms of bloodline, Little Handsome had the true Phoenix bloodline, which was noble and respectable. The black golden dragon circled behind Draconis. Its voice gradually became softer, and its eyes were filled with fear. "Little Handsome!" Su-Yi choked. Little Handsome was still protecting him. He couldn't help but nod when he saw that Little Handsome had advanced to the 9th stage of the demon realm. "Be careful, that person is absorbing the essence. If we don't stop him, he might advance to the origin sky realm," Su-Yi reminded. Then, the two of them frowned at the same time. They stared coldly at Draconis, who was shrouded in divine light. "Why are there so many demonic creatures here? Boss, this guy's demonic aura is so strong. It's rare to see him outside of the sky barbarian realm," Little Handsome Su said. Hearing that, Su-Yi's heart tightened. He hadn't seen Little Handsome Su for so many days, but he had been wandering outside of the sky barbarian realm. At that moment, Su-Yi had endless questions in his heart. There were also countless things he wanted to know about the world outside of Heaven Berserker realm, but he had to put them aside for now. They're all from outside the realm. We'll talk about it later. Right now, we have to deal with Draconis first. Su Xiaoshui nodded silently as he observed the changes in Draconis's aura with vigilance. His body started to heat up for no reason, causing people's hearts to tremble. "Kaka!" In the distance, the golden dragon shrunk its huge body and obediently crawled behind Draconis. In an instant, a wild demonic aura soared into the sky, bringing with it wind and thunder as it attacked the heaven and earth. At this moment, Draconis had completely swallowed the first soul essence pearl. Behind him, the black gold dragon twisted its body and whimpered gloomily. Its huge dragon eyes emitted a demonic light. As if complaining to Draconis, the dragon's roar was filled with endless grievances. Hiss! A low sound came from the dragon's throat. Draconis instantly looked up and shook his head helplessly as he looked at his already powerful aura. I should have swallowed Yun Lingfeng's soul essence first. Draconis clapped his hands with a look of pity. He raised his demonic eyes and looked at Su Yi and Su Xiaoshui like an abyss. Phoenix, I didn't expect there to be so many divine beasts in Heaven Berserker realm, Draconis said faintly as his deep eyes revealed his greed for Su Xiaoshui's power. Sensing Draconis's aura, Su Yi and Su Xiaoshui's hearts trembled violently. If Draconis's aura was infinitely close to becoming a god just now, then Draconis was only one step away from Origin Sky Realm. His strength was almost equivalent to Origin Sky Realm. It was so powerful that everyone present couldn't help but be shocked and didn't dare to speak. Can he win? Everyone held their breaths as they waited. Draconis, who had the Golden Dragon bloodline and demonic skills, was already the most powerful existence in Heaven Berserker realm. Everyone's eyes fell on Su Yi and Su Xiaoshui, and even their breathing became very tense. Under everyone's gaze, Draconis suddenly stood up and stood proudly in the air. He waved his hands gently and countless black rays of light suddenly appeared behind him. It was as if a demonic dragon had pierced through the sun. Suddenly, the clear sky turned dark and the sky turned upside down. The fierce wind turned into a huge ripple that hit the sky and the earth. The vortex spread and the space was instantly torn apart. Looking at Draconis's fanatical eyes, Su Xiaoshui's chubby face sneered. Su Xiaoshui's eyes looked down. Tens of thousands of demon dragon army soldiers were wandering around like ghosts. A large area was shrouded in a foul smell and gloomy atmosphere. Let's end this quickly. Take his essence soul orb. We can't let him take the second one. Su Yi secretly formed a hand seal. While the Emperor Sparrow's essence blood was still burning, he quickly circulated the Origin Supreme technique to the extreme. Okay. Su Xiaoshui glanced at Su Yi, and then his eyes shone brightly. The shadow of the phoenix behind him spread its wings and soared into the sky. It was domineering and arrogant, and the divine light quickly covered the sky. Chi-la-la. Like the breaking of dawn, it pushed away the turbid haze of the world. Boundless golden red light rapidly shot across the void. The divine flame swept across the sky, and scarlet fire pythons shone in the sky and gathered into a light net. Su Yi and Su Xiaoshui shouted at the same time and circulated their fire elemental qi. The surrounding space rippled rapidly in the air, and the power was so domineering that it made people's hearts tremble. Ah! The destructive fire devoured the world, and tens of thousands of demon dragon army soldiers were instantly turned into fireballs. The foul smell filled the air, and the air was filled with the smell of decay. Seeing his beloved demon dragon army being burned to ashes, Draconis was enraged. The golden dragon behind Draconis charged out, and the energy of the golden dragon poured into the sky. Wherever the dragon passed, the space was destroyed. The whole space shook violently, and the sky and earth collapsed. In just a blink of an eye, Draconis had arrived in front of Su Yi and Su Xiaoshui on the black-striped golden dragon. Su Yi, I'm going to kill you! Suddenly, Draconis and the black-striped golden dragon separated. Su Yi and Su Xiaoshui looked at each other and quickly separated. Roar! GG! The vast and mighty beasts collided in the sky, and sparks flew everywhere. Su Xiaoshui transformed into the divine phoenix, and the black-striped golden dragon were locked in a fierce battle in the sky. In the blink of an eye, a large area of space was completely destroyed, and countless sparks bloomed like fireworks. The sun was shrouded in thin black clouds, and the sound of the phoenix was sharp, and the dragon was roaring in the sky. Immediately, everyone present gasped in amazement and sucked in a breath of cold air. Witnessing the battle between the dragon and the phoenix with their own eyes, how magnificent was this! Oh my God! If this was the ancient times, how terrifying would the ancient beasts be? Yen Mietian said softly. As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of people gasping could be heard. Even though they were so far away, the terrifying aura was like a mountain pressing down on heaven and earth. One could imagine how much pressure Su Yi was facing in the middle of the battle. I.e. Duanmu Xiaoman, Ling Qianxue, Lu Ruoxi, Shangguan Shiwei, and Han Yuro were all looking at the battle. They did not dare to blink and their delicate hands were clenched tightly. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.